What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the WMMA Today podcast with Drake Riggs and I, Steve King. We have a pretty good lineup this week. We have a couple recaps or a recap. We have news, good news, some good fights coming up, and then some previews to go from one UFC and then Bellator. So, which Drake will be live and in person at for
not anymore.
Not
anymore, unfortunately. I know. It's very bummed not going to be there anymore, but
oh no.
Yep. So maybe next time.
I didn't even talk to you about it, and I guess I just fucking was like figuring, Drake was going to.
I was.
I know. I mean, we talked about it a bunch.
Well, so what happened was, I don't have my second vaccine shot yet, so
that's right.
I get it right when I come back, and so they're still doing how they did it in Mohegan, where you have to like stay at the hotel and test every day if you aren't vaccinated yet. So that kind of fucked me.
I'm not going through the testing every single day.
I mean, I would have, but it was just like to book the hotel and everything. It just wasn't going to work out. So very bummed, but next week. Miami was cool. That was fun. That was very good. I did go to Miami. So
I saw the Kayla Harrison interview.
Yeah.
She seems amazing.
Yeah, very, very fun to chat with. That was good. Check that out if you guys haven't yet. Shameless plug right off the top. And I think I now have all the interviews from that out except for one. House Manfio coming tomorrow. So
I think I only saw Kayla Harrison from there. I was sure to like specifically look for that one though.
Yeah. I made sure I got that one out first. So spoke to her, Shoeface, Magomed Karamov. House Manfio, as I just said right there, Loic Radzhabov and Rory McDonald. I think that was everybody. Might have been.
I was ATT.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy just to like everywhere you look. Well, and I posted the picture of all the belts. Like, geez, it really puts it in perspective. But it was crazy just walking around and be like, oh, there's Edson Barboza. Oh, well, there's Mark De Lima, there's Adriano Moraes, Pedro Munoz was there.
It's wild seeing everybody, and right when you walk in, you see that whole big trophy case. But their trophy case are belts.
Yeah.
Title. It's fucking insane.
I know. I should count them up, but Lipsky was there. Saw Mara Romero Barella training with her husband. I forget his name, but a lot of people are Horiguchi, the Gooch, of course, getting some work with Mike Brown.
If you could have interviewed him.
I know. I would have tried. I'm not sure he would have remembered me because I think when we last talked, my hair was natural colored. So I was like, I'm not going to bother him, but especially because I don't think there was any translator around. He just gets by with the limited English he has. So didn't want to, put him through the hassle, but would have if I was in the mood, but so feel like being nice, and he was training and all that, so very cool. And then Sanford was very nice as well, so a lot of people there. Also Darian Caldwell,
nice.
Angla was training with Rory, which was very cool.
Fighting,
and he's fighting this week as well. Adam Boric. A lot of people down there in Florida. Kind of crazy. Like, I don't really think about it.
It's like the Mecca, dude, right now.
Yeah, definitely is. Just between everywhere down there, really. So
yeah, you can go up the state, and there's MMA training facilities everywhere up Florida.
Yeah. Definitely is. So with that in mind, welcome everybody. We got Jimmy's up in here. James, what is up? Rain giving us a toast to the best WMA podcast in the world. Appreciate that every week, man. Never gets old.
Yes, there it is.
There it is. Rue says, hey, kind of boys are back in town always. Sammy. Oh, how generous, man. Yes, my favorite part of the week where we can't talk MMA without the BS takes from guys who like to practice tick punches. There you go. There you go. And Jin, good to see you again. Jin Karasu up in here. It's been too long. The Monday thing threw me off. Good to see you guys. Yes, sorry. We did a little bit of flip-flopping for the first portion of the show, but we're getting that steady flow back on, obviously. Ghost is here, of course. Good to see you. Alex, what is up, my friend? Hope your project and stuff is going well. Before we get to catch up again. And yeah, thank you, Ghost. Saw the interview with Rory. Definitely good one. Yep, got them all coming, Rue. And Chuck is speaking Korean today. Good to see you, sir. So, without further ado, Steve, shall we jump right on in to what is the hottest topic of the week, probably, or at least
mess
overall? The we have quite the controversy. And what
a mess this UFC event was.
It was a very fun and good event, but yeah, the outcomes obviously of some.
No, the fights were great.
Yes,
it's the MMA judging. I mean, look, dude, you have Francis Ngannou literally saying, "Get your shit straight, MMA." That's the heavyweight champion saying, "Look, you need to get your shit straight." And he was specifically talking about the Miranda Maverick fight, by the way. But in general, he's also speaking in general, like MMA needs to get their shit straight.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But you mentioned it right there, Steve. UFC Vegas 32, the lone event from the weekend. And welcome, Mr. Lee. I see you right there. But here we are, the flyweight fight between the two ranked fighters.
Yeah. Macy Barber ended up beating Miranda Maverick by split decision. A couple 29-28s in there and 28-29 for Miranda Maverick. Weird, man. Just so weird.
So, Steve, you have been having a ball on Twitter with the whole troll, and you even did it for the mailbag tweet. But I'm assuming that you're not blind in this case. Do you think Miranda won this fight, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. I think Miranda Maverick beat Macy Barber 2 rounds to 1. I think that Macy ended up winning probably the
third round.
The third round, yeah. And Miranda just didn't do enough in the third round to win. But also Miranda Maverick deserved to win that fight.
Yeah, this was a very, very clear case of I think scoring the entire fight. You look at 1 and 2, as Jin says, I thought clearly Maverick 1 and 2 seemed like no debate. And then the third round seemed pretty clearly Barber 2. And so I was pretty shocked as the judges were reading the scorecards.
Right.
I was like, okay, wow, we have a split. Hopefully they get this right, because I did not expect this to be very controversial. But here we are. And it's funny, too, because I feel like even if this fight was judged as a whole, it would still be Miranda Maverick's fight. That's the only case you could argue, I think.
Well, look at the numbers on the screen, Drake.
Yeah.
You have the total strike numbers up. And then you
82 to 38, man.
And then you go the round by round, and 28 of 61 to 15 of 31. Sure, Macy's percentage was higher, but Miranda's output was more. Miranda. The only thing about Macy was the pressure, I guess. Maybe the pressure would change, would skew a judge's
right. Because that right there was this entire event just showed, between this fight, mainly the main event with Dillashaw Sanhagen, but it really showed just the continued ignorance that people have about the scoring system, because the pressure and octagon control, right? We know, Steve, that means absolutely nothing It's not supposed to be scored unless striking and grappling is completely identical, which in both of those fights, I believe this fight and the main event, they were not. So I think Sandhagen should have won as well.
And Drake, you know what's odd about this? Chris Lee of all fucking people, Chris Lee of all fucking people was the judge to give it to Miranda Maverick.
Yeah.
Like of all people.
Is he trolling us now?
I know, right? Like crazy.
Oh my god. But
insane.
Even then though, man, like I don't think you can make that argument for this fight. And people are mentioning that a whole lot in the main event, which is nonsense, as I just said, because that's not supposed to be scored. I don't think things were even at all not at all. They were close, clearly, but I felt like Sandhagen edged most of those exchanges, and I thought it was a 3-2 victory for him, 48-47. But in this fight, you look at the first two rounds in particular, man. Macy just wasn't doing very much, and we talked about it last week when we were breaking the fight down, or just I think every time we've talked about it, they kind of do a lot of the same things similar, except Miranda just does it a little bit better. And the pressure, whoever was able to dictate the pace, we knew was kind of going to have the most success. And that was clearly Miranda in those first two rounds. So much so that I don't know if any of you guys heard this. Whoever watches the fights muted, didn't hear it. But Steve, if you remember, I think it was in the second round, which a judge gave to Macy, Uriah Faber in her corner even said, "You got to do something.
You got to hit her. Yeah, you got to hit her."
That's how inactive she was. So, I mean,
was that insane. The first round? I think that was the first round, wasn't it?
It might have been late in the first.
I think.
But yeah, either way, it was one of the first two. So it was like.
So if you look at the control time stats on the far right, even round two, Miranda Maverick.
She got her down at the end of the round and got her back even.
Right.
A more dominant position than most.
So all right. So we agree. Round three went to Macy, right? We agree. We agree. But you look at those numbers for Macy Barber and Miranda Maverick, the control time. You can't base it off control time because Miranda Maverick won control time. So you have to go to
and with a better position. I think that must have been against the cage that Macy's 54 seconds was, because obviously she didn't get her down. And I don't remember her being in too great of a position, especially comparatively to what Miranda had. So either way, you're right there. So go on. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. And then like we talked about, a 44 to 39% percentage, but the overall output was double for Miranda Maverick.
Right.
31 to 61. That's basically double. Yeah.
It's a weird one, man. I don't know. Like James says here, not Miranda's best performance, but still a pretty clear victory.
I think we all agree with that. James, Drake, I think we agree. Miranda Maverick said, Macy won and all that. She knew, but Miranda Maverick knew that wasn't her best performance, but she still deserved the win. So Ray Jitsu, welcome. He says all major sports in America has a point system. MMA needs a point system.
It's not a bad point.
I don't think it's a bad point at all. That's why I put it up on the screen. It's a talking point that we should. That I think that MMA. He's right. Every other major American sport has a point system, right, of some sort, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because
just look at wrestling, right?
Well, wrestling is point based. That's literally how you win or lose a match. Points.
Yeah.
Boxing's the same way.
Right. You get what happens when you get a knockdown? It's automatic something, right?
It's a 10-8. Okay.
So I mean, like, if that was, why can't that be a written rule in MMA too? So stuff like that. Like, you look at with the old rule set, or the old scoring criteria, right? The old rules. When you hit a takedown, no matter what happened with it, as long as you got a takedown, that was scoring and gave you a boost, which I like that. Because, I mean, getting a takedown is changing
It's
kind
huge.
of the course of the fight, you know?
It's a singular takedown is fucking huge.
Right. Even if you
Especially,
get it and it
especially
only
if you're not,
lasts for 5
especially if you're
seconds.
not going back and forth taking each other down. Then that one takedown or two takedowns, or one person takes down the other and then the other takes down the other, then it negates the takedowns. But if there's 1-0, then it's massive for the fight. It's a turn of events.
Well, I mean, that used to be some of those high fight IQ fighter strategies, right? Is, hit a takedown in the last minute or 30 seconds and kind of really help things. But in the new rules, that doesn't matter now. You actually got to do something once you get it down, which I get it. I like that idea as well. But if you combine the two, now we're talking, I mean, to maybe really solidify it. But I think a singular takedown, if you hit it, even if they get up after like 10 seconds, you still hit a pretty impactful thing, in my opinion. So
you're right. It can't be a takedown and then pop right back up. That's not a takedown. That's getting them down. But you're not really controlling anything. But if you go past maybe 15, 20 seconds, then that's where you score the takedown.
Yeah, got to take those kind of things into consideration, I think. But an actual point system where certain things scored more, it'd be tricky to kind of figure out, but it's not a bad idea. I mean, you could use submission attempts as a thing. Even look back at the first round of Sandhagen and Dillashaw, that knee bar that he was attempting, and clearly didn't help too much with the judges because I don't think he won the first round in anyone's cards. But I don't know, man. It's very interesting.
Changes outcomes of fights.
Yeah.
Chuck doesn't like it at all. Enacting a point system just means the higher strike count will win. No thanks. The sport is bigger than stats. I don't necessarily think that any sport is bigger than stats. Look at analytics now, and baseball and football is doing analytics. Baseball was the first. Basketball is incorporating analytics now too. I think every sport should incorporate analytics. Analytics fucking matter. Stats fucking matter, Chuck.
I mean, I do agree, but I get where he's coming from, though. With MMA specifically, I think is a bit more unique because of the fact of, people being affected by what's happening a bit more than, let's say, maybe basketball, for example, or baseball, where, they're not making contact with each other and affecting performance, because that's not exactly what they're supposed to do. So,
right.
I don't know, but Mr. Lee makes a fantastic point.
Yeah, incredible judges. I mean, I think that would be the easiest thing. Like, these commissions literally need to look at who they have judging and get rid of the bad ones, the bad seeds, and bring in people who are knowledgeable about the sport, who haven't just sat down and watched, people who know what it takes to actually fight and to be inside of that ring or that octagon or that cage. It could be Herb Dean. You could throw Herb Dean in there for all I care. He would probably be a good judge. Big John, any of the refs, any fighter like Frank Trigg would be probably really good at it. He's already a referee too.
Yeah. No, he's done judging also. Yeah.
Right. Who else does judging now? Mazzagatti, right?
No, I don't think Mazzagatti judges.
Who is it? It's somebody. Not Mazzagatti.
Eve Levine, maybe.
Eve Levine.
But also it goes deeper though, to where like the way that judges have to judge, and not just like rule wise and the clarity of the criteria, but the physical judging situation, or what they're in, being cage side isn't always the best.
I think they need to be in a room, locked up, and three separate rooms, locked
watching
up
on screen. Yeah.
No commentary. You can't hear the fans' reactions. None of that. you just watch what everybody else at home is watching on the same screen, because we have the best view. Drake, you've been there, you've been live, you've sat ringside just as I have. Sometimes you can't see everything when you're ringside, when you're cage side. You can't see the whole thing. You can't see everything that's going on. When you're at home on the TV, you can see literally everything, the whole fight.
Yeah. But then also you don't get the impact is received different in person. You do notice a difference. Like I always go to this example when I saw Rory McDonald and John Fitch, their fight. And they would be right in front of me. John had him down, right? And he was doing some body shots, just, basic punches to the body. And on TV, they didn't seem as, impactful as they were in person. You're like, damn, he's really pounding him there. But then on TV, it just doesn't resonate the same. So it's like, you need a mixture of both. So in that case of the judges being in the back and, watching that way, I think that you'd have to leave the sound. Don't do commentary. I agree with that. No commentary, but you definitely need the sound though. So it's tricky. It needs to be changed. We obviously need to change some shit because this event, this is just one fight, that we are getting into, but there were multiple on the card. I mean, even the co-main event was a bit of an odd one there. Yeah, amazing fight, but the decision was, I don't agree with that one either. And then even earlier in the night, there was the weirdness with Brendan Allen and Puna, which they got the judging right on that one, I think. But still, too much ridiculousness and not enough clarity with what's going on.
And it's happening more and more too. So I think I feel eventually it's gonna be bad. Like in a title fight.
Yeah, I mean, what the last bad one we had was Reyes and Jones. So, the last real bad one, unless I'm forgetting one. But so before we move on here from this, I will say I guess I'm fine with Barber versus Jessica I next, who surely is going to get one more chance in the UFC now.
I mean, wow, like the state of this chat when we're talking the preview of Barber versus Jessica I.
The foreshadowing, yeah. There's Rue already thinking about it.
Look, Drake, these people are homies.
Oh yeah,
cannot stand Jessica I. Well, that's me. I can't stand Jessica I. But they cannot stand Jessica I or Macy Barber. Imagine getting those two matched up. James says Barber versus I is not something I'll look forward to watching or talking about.
Yeah, I would be even more fine with, maybe them doing Maverick with that. I think they should treat this similarly to, how Diego Sanchez, Ross Pearson was. Not that I don't think it is on the same level of bad decision as that one was, because that one was the worst probably ever. But Miranda shouldn't have to drop far at all. I mean, because she should have won, right?
At all.
Yeah, so honestly, they should flip them.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that unfolds. But either way, Steve.
Sammy says he's not watching that. Can you imagine the stupidity at range?
Yeah, it'll be something if it happens. But before we do move on, I'm going to integrate Juicy's question from the Twitter mailbag in here, since it is related around this one. He asks, is this the worst decision in any women's fight ever, Steve? What do you say?
I think it was pretty bad, but it was pretty terrible. There's been some bad ones though.
Yeah, I have two in mind.
Like what?
So I do think this one was very, very clear. But Jin versus Mina Grusander won. You remember at that time, I was very heated about that one. That one I thought was very, very bad. But also Megumi Fuji and Zoila Frausto is, I can't see any way that Frausto won that one. with Jin, you at least convinced me a little bit the argument that it was closer, a little bit closer than maybe it was live watching it. But both of those, both title fights, actually.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Both were title fights.
I felt like those were very, 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 very clear for both of the losers, who Grusander and Fuji, and those ones. This one, still very clear for Miranda, but I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch all three of these, but I think it's probably between all three of those. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I would say it is the worst.
I think it's the Frosto beating Megumi Fuji. I think you're right. I think that's the one. I don't think that it's Barber, because even the Grusander one was bad. But
yeah,
I mean, like we talked about when it happened, I can see why it happened. Why, but this one was pretty bad too, man.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely up there, but yeah, as Chuck says,
it could be number 3.
Yeah, very true. Very
You
true. Yeah, those ones not great. Not great. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, people pretty much unanimously agree with that one as well, but
yeah.
Which is just so sad. Just so sad for Megumi that it played out that way, but very interesting stuff when you hear her talk about it. Shameless plug for the Megumi Fuji story. So yeah, good shouts there. All viable options. You could go. I wouldn't be mad at anyone saying any of those are the worst, but either way, we move on, Steve, to not controversy in terms of judging, but we knew the matchmaking was poor. So let's get into it.
Dude, poor Elise Reed got served one by Sijara Eubanks. First round TKO, punches and then elbows. Man, Sijara Eubanks, welcome to the flyweight division, I guess. Welcome back to the flyweight division, I guess. She's, I don't know, Drake, like we talked about this last week. She was really good in the tough house. She could have been the first champion. Man, she looked great. What else can you say? But we also said Elise Reed was a bad matchup for her. Like it was terrible for Elise Reed.
Yeah, no, that was. There was no other way that this fight was going to go, right? I mean, I maybe submission, but we knew it was going to be bad. What did we give her a little leeway and say second round? I don't remember, but we knew it'd be the first two for sure.
I said second round for sure. I don't know. Did you say first round? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think we might have both went second, just because of that uncertainty of how Sarge would make the cut again. But holy shit, made it just fine for this one. Like no trouble on the scale. Looked happy up there, which was very great to see. So yeah, this fight essentially told us nothing because of how big a mismatch this was. But it's just great to see that Sarge was able to look so good at 125 again, because as you mentioned right there, at 125, she looked reinvented and was her best at 125. And that was when she was struggling to make it. So now if she can continue to look like this against people she should be fighting, scary thought, because she is very, very good in this division, obviously. So
yeah. Man, look how ripped she looks in that picture right there, man.
Yeah, this is just what she needed, I think. So good way to reintroduce yourself sort of to the division. So
they got to rank her now, right? I mean, she's already ranked at bantamweight. They should rank her now, right?
You know what? Let's do Macy versus Sarge next. Fuck it.
Oh my god. Dude, Macy's the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jimmy says, it did tell us that UFC newcomers shouldn't fight Sarge. Yeah, no, that's a good point there.
I mean, she had no business fighting her. She was ranked for a reason. Like she's literally ranked. Why are they
at bantamweight?
Why are they giving ranked fighters people who are unranked or not, or making their debuts?
Yeah, and Shout out to Kaposa. I don't know if you saw his tweet, Steve, but he's like, it's such an interesting business strategy that, UFC has to put newcomers against these established kind of fighters.
Dude, we talk about this like weekly now. It's like a weekly thing now, right, Drake? Like
Yeah.
it's fucking wild. It's wild.
Yeah. So hopefully Elise Reed's eye is okay, because that thing swelled up quickly. Even if it made it out of the first round, it would have been over. That's how bad that was. Completely shut.
Her eye was terrible.
Completely shut. So Elise Reed, though, hey, good for her. She's in the UFC now. She will be dropping down to 115. You better believe it, where she is fine at. And I think, some people are saying she could even make 105, maybe. But yeah, it's
welcome to the UFC. Holy shit. Here's your Eubanks. Take your beating and then go on and move and go to another division.
Right. Right. And Jimmy is all for that matchmaking idea. So see if it happens. But yeah.
How wild would it be if Macy Barber ends up being Sarge, though?
Yeah, that would be that'd be something. That would be something. But welcome, Centro Wing. Good to see you, sir. And
Hello.
don't think we missed out on you as well, Mr. Yakitori. Says, good evening, Mr. Riggs and Mr. King. Please check out Mr. Riggs' interview with Miss Harrison. If you gentlemen in the chat haven't checked it out yet, appreciate it greatly, Alvin. He seemed to really enjoy that one, was leaving me the comments there. I enjoyed it as well. Glad you did. And yes, definitely listen to Alvin's advice. You guys go check it out if you haven't yet. Kayla Harrison chatting about all things MMA and Olympics. Of course, had to talk about the Olympics since it is Olympic season. And she won some gold there. So it's kind of weird to think about too afterwards, Steve, like, oh wow, I shook the hand of and spoke to literally one of the greatest athletes of all time. It's a really weird thing to process, afterward. Like, it's just a little trippy.
She's amazing.
So yeah, definitely is. So all right, as we continue on, there was one more fight that this actually opened up the card. These first two fights were they opened the card. So I imagine that Mr. Lee will be excited for this one, because the winner of this fight is his Avi right now, his default picture. So not a bad way to start the card, Steve.
Nah, I enjoyed it. Diana Belbita beat Hannah Goldie, unanimous decision, 30-27s. Belbita looked fantastic.
Oh yeah, welcome to strawweight, Belbita, the Warrior Princess. Very good performance from her. The range was a big factor in this one, as we kind of expected.
Her output was amazing.
Yeah, we knew that on the feet she would probably be able to do well. They're assuming the cut. I mean, she looked like a different person practically. You look at the pre-fight packages, them showing of her at flyweight and then her at strawweight.
Really
good. Yeah,
she looked really healthy.
Indeed. So very good performance from her. Almost got Goldie out of there in the first round.
Pretty close.
Dropped her with a big shot there. What was it? The right hand.
Right.
But yeah, props to Goldie for surviving that one, hanging in tough, and then just continued to do her thing as the fight went on. Did Belbita, and then in the third round she almost finished it as well, but then had a bit of a scare with the Hail Mary at the end, and some people even let that sway them. But Steve, that whole round, I mean, like, it was just the end, those last 15 seconds or so that Goldie really did anything. And before that, it's like people totally forgot that Belbita really was very close to finishing her. Any other referee might have stopped that in the third round. So yeah, she looked very good, good out there.
Goldie looked good too, though.
Yeah, she did.
Look at all that control time.
Yeah, she definitely had some good moments.
2 minutes in the first round, over a minute in the second round, almost 2 minutes in the third round. And it's crazy that in the first and third rounds, Belbita threw 80 strikes, but she was controlled.
Right. Yeah, no, she was very active. She was very active in this fight. You love to see it. And yeah, a welcome and very fun addition, I think, to this division. And she seemed, very happy with it, as she should be, aside from, the little bit of grappling scares, but that's just Hannah Goldie being Hannah Goldie, I think. So,
Yeah.
and it's just crazy to me, though, because like you watch this kind of fight and you see how good that they both can be, of course, more so the winner, but
Yeah.
it's like, man, you want to take it slow kind of I would like to see Belbita take it slow, but in a division like this, where there's talent around every single corner, it's practically impossible, dude.
Fight good fighters no matter what. I think.
Right. Like even James mentions right here, Loma next, which that's a fantastic fight. That'd be really fun, but like obviously a tough one for.
Yeah, I don't know if I like
most.
that fight for personal reasons.
You don't want to see either lose.
I don't want to see either lose, no.
Yeah, but it'll be very interesting to see who she's matched with next. And Rain suggests Randa Marcos, who we will get to, maybe not directly next, but I did mention who were we talking about last week? I don't even remember who it was, but Luana Pinheiro, she is sitting out there. Maybe you could do that one. Of course, like I said, man, people are gonna have their momentum halted in this division. It's just too jam-packed. So
it's a really good division. That's what happens in good divisions. I mean, you see good fighters losing.
Right. And Mr. Lee, yep, fight of the night for him. Good matchup. It was a fun one.
There were some really great fights though this weekend.
Yeah. The Yanez and Costa, of course.
TJ and Sandhagen was a great fight.
That was very good. Yeah, the card was quite solid indeed. And Ghost proposes Liang Na versus Goldie. Wouldn't be mad at that. Makes sense. Both looking to rebound. That would be
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, both looking. I think Liang Na actually has news. I think she has a fight booked. I might be speaking out of term. I feel like I saw her say something about that, but either that or she's looking to get back in there soon. So we should hopefully see Liang Na soon. That would be nice after the fun fight with Carnelosi. But yeah, Goldie
Pinheiro fight
for Belbita.
Yeah,
that one would be good. Just need to see Pinheiro back in there too. But yeah, Hannah Goldie though probably in a spot where she's gonna need a win in the next one. I think with just how full this division is and having lost 2 in a row and had that big gap in time, might be a do or die if she doesn't get cut after this, which would be kind of sad. But
that dude, they've kept fighters around. I don't see them.
Yeah, I know.
I don't see them cutting Hannah Goldie.
Yeah, we'll see. But Ghost says Yanez versus Costa is a striker's wet dream.
It was
a very good one. Complete roller coaster ride. That fight was, Randy looked sensational.
Looked so good. And then all of a sudden, Yanez fucking put it on him. Like those body shots. It was the body shot. Body shots fucked Costa up. And then of course, that.
Yeah, shut him down. So definitely, Ghost has so much stuff to learn from that fight. Incredible. Yeah.
And they're so incredibly likable.
I know. Just both fun dudes.
Yeah.
So that was UFC Vegas 32, everybody. Holy shit. For some reason, I have a fuckload of mentions right now on Twitter as I see 20 plus on the bell, but that is what it is as we get ready to go into the Twitter mailbag, and that's why I bring that up. So a very fun card, as we mentioned. So we're going to dive on in as Ghost Phantom kicks us off, as he does, with another analytic breakdown. And generally, you guys, as I say, I don't like to look at these too much before, but I, of course, have to glance at them. So let's open it up in the old DMs. I'm very curious to know what I was tagged in or what is happening there. As you can see, the 20 plus, but Ghost Phantom starting it off, as he says, this question was inspired by Drake's interview with Emi Fujino from Braun Horizon, episode 9, shameless plug, go check it out, where she talks about the use of elbows in women's MMA. So that's just a clip for reference. I won't play that again, but he says, to a certain degree, she's correct. Elbows are difficult to execute because it's a short-range weapon that require precise timing and the ability to stay composed in close range. Then he gives us a 45-second clip here. For background, Zhang had to learn elbows during her training camp against Fujino. not trying to play the audio there, sorry, because she sprained her toe during jiu-jitsu and couldn't generate power in her kicks or punches. As her coach says in the video, force your opponent to your center line to use elbows. The way elbows are used in MMA is either reactive or proactive. Here are some examples of Zhang's reactive elbows. And here we are from that fight in particularly. As you can see, she pretty much uses that brilliantly to counter the jab. It says counters jab with a horizontal elbow. You love to see it. It says she uses her high guard defense as a delivery system to land her lead elbow off of Fujino's rear cross. Sneaky shit right there, man. Similar to Maverick right there with the Jojua victory. Similar, maybe not the exact same, but similar. Then he has versus Andrade. She uses her high guard to defend her opponent's hook and left arm to frame to maintain space for her elbow left hook combo. Dude.
His elbows are so nice.
Yeah, that was
slicing.
Yeah. Just brilliant. When you're in tight like that, it's like, why not? It's the best weapon. And he says using elbows reactively from range is a skill that is difficult to train in sparring due to the danger it possesses both you and your sparring partner. Using elbows proactively, on the other hand, is less risky because it requires more trickery. And here we are with some violent ground and pound. Yeah. Elbows can be used from mount to force the opponent to shell up from bottom, which means they aren't focused on escape. Zhang creates a strong base with her knees and left arm while she drops her elbows. Yeah, beautiful stuff there. And her opponent initiates the clinch, which Zhang follows up with a hard knee, creates a single collar tie and narrow base to force her opponent to think knee, but then follows with an elbow. Yep. Very nice work right there. Unsurprisingly. Bam. All right. Then we continue on to the Andrade fight. Zhang creates a frame on Andrade's neck to land elbows while against the fence. As they break from the fence, she maintains a double collar tie or toe tie. Yeah, to break Andrade's posture. Then use her knees to set up more elbows. Absolutely. The Danielle Taylor fight right here. Taylor decides to clinch up with Zhang. She accepts the clinch, throws a knee, begins to establish an outside trip. Taylor responds by basing her feet wide, which Zhang uses as an opportunity to get an overhook to land an elbow. Yes, and we're going through the whole history of Weili's fights, guys, as you can see. Going over the top of a double collar tie with an elbow is a good option to reestablish your base during clinch. Yeah, doesn't hurt. Gambling a bit there with it, knee up the middle, but she took the timing there wonderfully. And then we get to the ground. Aguilar does the correct thing by creating a frame with her left leg and right arm, but Zhang uses it as an opportunity to land her elbow on the forehead. This whole question, by the way, Ghost, is really great job of highlighting how much Weili uses these, because like we know she does, but you don't realize until you really highlight
it. This has become like a segment for us.
I know, it completely is. So
love it.
Says this is an example of how elbows can be used to transition from one submission attempt to the next. Aguilar was doing the correct thing by clasping her hands together to stop the triangle, but the elbows that Zhang begins to land force Aguilar to give up the hold. Yep. Bang, bang, bang.
Fucking crazy, dude. Like she's throwing them while she has her legs wrapped around her neck.
Yeah, that performance was stunning.
Amazing, dude. Just amazing.
Just making her think way more than she would prefer to. And that's a veteran like Jag too. So elbows do have a downside if you actively look for them. They leave you open for knees. Joanna would shut down Zhang's knees with a knee shield and hip position, but Zhang was still able to establish an overhook to throw her elbow to left hook combo.
And that's against a Thai champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a little more understandable in that case, but good highlight there. And so to the question, Ghost asks, how important are elbows in the development of women fighters? Should more women in MMA train elbows? And due to the danger in training, degree of difficulty, and high risk, do you guys think it's a waste of time for women to even train elbows?
I don't think it's a waste of time for anybody, any fighter, to train elbows. shit does damage, and you're in there to win a fight. So you might as well do as much damage any way that you can. So no, fucking throw those elbows, anybody.
I mean, I think, Ghost, that you pretty much answered your own question, honestly, with this, because when you look at Whaley specifically and her effectiveness throughout her whole career, as you just showed everybody, she has had fantastic success.
We're all hitting the pad right now. We're gonna go train elbows.
No, I love me some elbows. Yeah,
dude,
so,
it's just an underrated. It's an underrated strike. It's not used enough.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think that you pretty much you summed it up yourself, Ghost. I appreciate the lesson as always, man. But it's like when you
I love it. It's the ghost. It's the ghost segment. The segment of the ghost.
I know we're just gonna have to separate his from Twitter mailbag to his own thing.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But yeah, when you look at somebody like Whaley who has been that effective and successful in her career while using them, I think it's a resounding yes. You know, if more people integrated elbows the way that she does, you know, people would probably be doing a lot better too. But also you got to think, I think it's also unique to Whaley where she has that ferocity and that overall level of training. She does commitment, all that kind of thing. Like not everyone has that same type of killer instinct. So it's a little bit of a half and half, I think. But yeah, fuck yeah. The more weapons you have, absolutely get in there. So elbows, of course, never going to hear me say no to elbows.
Do it, fighter, do it.
But Alvin giving some love there. Amazing breakdown to Mr. Ghost Phantom. Yeah.
That's 2 weeks in a row where Ghost Phantom has really put time, like a lot of thought.
He's showing off, this guy.
I like it. I love it though.
You could start your own channel, Ghost. I mean, appreciate you coming here, but maybe think about it, man. So, good stuff. But
yeah, you can literally make a YouTube video out of that.
Oh yeah, people love that stuff. So
yeah, they do.
I mean, we love it. So Sammy says if more people trained elbows, they'd get more stoppages.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say it every time. I say it literally every time that I see elbows. I'm like, yes, dude, you're gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to bring it up, but look at Carla and Jonan.
Right.
hurts, but true.
Yeah. Crazy, man. Crazy.
So. All right.
Carla's not like that's not like the way that she tends to strike.
Yeah, not typically much the elbows in her ground and pound. So, but when you get in that crucifix, what else are you gonna do? So, all right. Carrying on to the rest, which I believe is just Yusuf, unless I missed some, but I don't think so. So it's on right to Yusuf. You guys do a quick scroll.
Something. I think Head Kick Audio Steve commented something.
Oh yeah. He was very upset with the decision.
Yeah, the disgust in that decision has me bothered. Those two that gave it to Barbara should be ashamed. That is all. Comments are okay.
Yes, comments are always accepted. And then, as we said, got juices from earlier, which was about the worst robbery question. Where is that? Just to give him some shine. Yeah, was it in history? You know, he was very upset about that. So, all right. To our man Yusuf, though, who might be lurking today, might not be. Speaking of Carla, starting off with Carla.
Yeah, as far as the considered second best wrestler, yeah, Valentina is better. Come on, with takedowns and looks more dominant on the ground. No, she doesn't.
He says, I'm not educated in this field, so can you guys educate me on what makes Esparza a better wrestler?
Carla,
take it away, Steve.
Go watch Carla Esparza wrestle, and fucking you'll see. Dude, Valentina's not a wrestler. Carla Esparza is. What the hell? She's not better with takedowns.
I love how he's pitting your guys' favorite fighters against each other. He does
the shit on purpose.
Oh man. I mean the thing is, Ghost, like obviously Valentina is an incredible grappler, but in terms of actual wrestling techniques, I think
She
that's
doesn't have
where we
any wrestling technique.
specify the difference here. You know, she'll hit her trips and things like that, but you don't
That's not
see, you know,
that's not a wrestling technique though.
right. No, that's what I'm getting at. It's like you don't see Valentina hitting, you know, blast doubles and
A
singles,
double
that kind
leg
of thing.
down or a single.
And she doesn't need to, admittedly, right? So it's like
No, why
doesn't
would
matter, but
why would she when she doesn't need to? Exactly.
right.
The shenanigans, Jimmy, are to piss me off. Like I know this motherfucker. I know. Like always he, he's constantly commenting, which is fine because I laugh. Yusuf makes me laugh. It's fine. Like I know he's trying to troll me, but when you go to Sparza, that's when I get really offended.
Crossing the line, Yusuf.
Cross the
Crossing the
line.
line. But I understand his thought process where
I don't. She's
I mean if somebody
Valentina's not a wrestler.
I know, but you know, somebody who think about the most casual, someone who doesn't know shit about
Yusuf's not a
fighting.
casual though.
I know,
Why
I'm
are you
just saying.
asking
I'm just saying. Not giving him a pass exactly, but I understand how someone would think, you know, that kind of thing. In the numbers, as Ghost brings up here, you know, Valentina usually uses her slips to time body locks. Yeah, definitely a great body locks, which make her percentage a lot higher. And you know, I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure her stats might be a little bit better, depending. I'm sure it's close. I am not going to say which one is, but I'm just saying, Steve, from an untrained eye, they might be like, oh, she's grabbing. They're grabbing, they're doing the grabbing thing, they're wrestling. They just assume it's all wrestling, right? You know what I mean? You know those people. I'm not saying that's Yusuf, but you know, are the casuals we know.
No, we can throw Yusuf in there after this question. We're throwing Yusuf in there with those people.
Fair enough.
He deserves it.
He has earned that. So, as for his second part, though, I saw just the first one, I think, but here we are.
Which division has more depth, 125 or 135? And skill for skill is better besides the champions. So I guess we'll just go with the rankings. So we take out what is it, 125 and 135?
Yeah.
135. All right. So flyweights. We take out Shevchenko. We go Andrade, former champion. Chikazian, Warren Murphy, Maya, Calvillo, Calderwood, Araujo, Modafferi, Grasso, Lee, Santos, Maverick, Barber, and Montana De La Rosa. And then you go women's, take out Amanda Nunes. You have Jermaine Duranamy, Holly Holm, Aspen Ladd, Irene Aldana, Pena, Kunitskaya, Ketlin, Misha Tate, McMahon, Macy, Landsberg, who goes down from 10 to 11, Fanny Kianzad, Sajara Eubanks, Julia Avila, and Carol Rosa.
So this is an interesting question, Yusuf, and I will say immediately off the top, if we're going worldwide, which I know you're probably thinking UFC because most of your questions are UFC based, but worldwide, I think 125 pretty easily because, you know, 135 is just short on people in general, right? You know, limited people, but overall talent worldwide, 125, I think clear answer here, excluding all champs, you know, take out Velasquez and Shevchenko, still phenomenal. UFC specifically, though, I might edge 135.
125 is excellent, though.
Yeah, it's very close in the UFC specifically. But you got it. The reason I kind of lean towards 135 a little bit too is because, you know, some of those fighters were at 135 in the past. So, and have had, you know, most of their careers there. You look at Chukagin, for example, did very well up there. You know, and Andrade has been both above and below.
She's
very close. Yeah, very close in the UFC. Worldwide, though, not really a question. I think it's 125. So
I agree.
So I'll answer it that way. So yeah, exactly, Sidro Wing. If you combine Bellator's, that's the whole thing. If you Bellator has half of like the top 10 best fighters in their weight class, I think. So yeah. And then he asks, how would GDR versus Cyborg have played out? And goddamn, I wish we would have got to find out, man.
It would have been like excellent fight, man.
That is up there for one of my top fights that got away. I mean, maybe it could still happen one day, but I'm not holding my breath at this point.
I think they're too old now at this point. You know,
right?
Like, I see GDR as a UFC fighter. Cyborg will probably never go back to the UFC.
No, if it was to happen, it'd be in Bellator. And I think that if Jermaine ever leaves, or if she for some reason becomes a free agent, like contract expires, whatever. Well, no, I guess in that case, if she was to get cut, though, I feel like she's closer to stopping than Cyborg. Let's put it that way. Just because Cyborg continually saying she could go on for a long time. So whatever it may be in. But as for that fight, it's tough to say, man. I think the GDR definitely had a very good chance, especially, if it's on the feet. If Cyborg has decided to try and take things to the ground, which I don't know if she would have done at that point when they were supposed to fight, then of course she most likely wins. But GDR definitely could have given her some trouble.
For sure. Your striking is phenomenal.
Yeah, I was very excited for that fight. So I'm still sad that it didn't happen, but would have been close. I think it would have been close, Yusuf, but hard to say, man. Hard to say. And then he finishes it off with what would be the best style to beat both Nunes and Val. Also, who loses first? I know that you've asked us that question before. I know he's asked who loses first. Or no, he asked who would drop the title first or something. I remember something like that being asked. We were like, whoever retires first, maybe.
Because I feel like Yusuf asked the week, but in a different way.
All right, so I'm not the only one catching on to this. Thanks, Rue. No. But what would be the best style to beat both of them, though? That's I don't think that exists. But,
they're the style where they beat each other.
Yeah, you would need a combination of both of them, I think, obviously. Yeah. But
he definitely asked that last week. So he's recycling, reusing his questions just in a different way.
Right.
He wants us to I don't think he's getting the answer that he wants. So he's going to keep.
He's just trying to help with the content, which appreciate it, Yusuf, but we don't need that necessarily. But appreciate
Welcome, Mr. Beckham, Aaron, my boy.
What's up, man? So, yeah, I don't know. I guess combine them because I don't know for both of them. That's just something that. Oh, I know. The fighter that Ghost asked us about a couple weeks ago. that 18. What was it? 18-0. Whoever that. Incredible. The GOAT was whoever the GOAT
was crazy.
That person.
James says he always asks how to beat Valentina, which is kind of funny because he loves her and he knows that there's not a way to beat her. So he's going to keep asking this question until we give him the answer. What's going to happen is he's going to be so heartbroken once Amanda beats her.
Again.
Yeah, again.
Be Amanda Nunes. That's how. Yeah, there you go, man. The hypothetical 16-0 fighter. That's the one. That is the one. The true GOAT.
That shit was wild, dude.
That was one of my favorite questions.
I couldn't think. Like I remember like fucking just staring at the screen.
Captivated.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I couldn't process.
Yeah.
After probably like a long day or something, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. That was the episode when I just landed in Vegas too. So Good stuff there. But speaking of goats, Ghost Phantom, as we depart the Twitter mailbag, thank you guys, as always, our two good friends. We move into the news and kicking things off with a goat herself. And this fight was announced directly after last week's episode, pretty much. And I knew about this one in the works a little bit. But Steve, we have another rematch that is nearly a decade old, 8 years in the making. Who saw this one coming, you guys?
Go Hamasaki versus Emi Fujino. Ryzen 30, September 19th, in a non-title bout, which is kind of depressing.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But I get it.
Caveat.
Just because of Emmy still being Pancrase champ, I imagine, and
I don't care.
I know. Let her have both potentially.
Fuck about that. Just make it for the belt, man.
Well, also I think that
frustrating. That's frustrating.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I don't like the non-title thing, but it could also, I think, be a thing where, Emmy, this is going to be her debut at any weight below 115. So she's never made atom weight or anything of the sort. Never tried. This will be her debut. So maybe a little bit thinking they're like, don't, if she misses, then it's at least it wasn't a title fight kind of thing. But she's an absolute veteran. She'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. They're projecting. Maybe they're projecting, and I don't like projecting things. That let it work out on its own.
Right. So I completely agree.
What they could have done was make it the title fight, and then if Emmy so happened to not be able to make the weight, then you're like, all right, then it's not for the title because Emmy was unable to make the weight. But you're projecting that Emmy might not be able to make the weight, so it's not going to be a title fight. I don't like that.
That's a fantastic point. I mean, that might not be exactly the reason, but I think that's very fair point to be made. And I love to see the excitement for this one, though, because we got Sammy saying he's excited for it. Ghost with the exclamation points out the wazoo.
Like it's a great fucking fight, man. But here goes Chuck. Non-title fight bouts make me want to cheer for Fujino because fuck Japanese MMA stupidity. I mean, that's harsh, but
he even did a fook.
But yes.
But yes. And James throwing in, this one should be interesting. Emmy has seen it all. She truly has, including Hamasaki already. And Hamasaki has only lost to Gedalia, Ham, and Souza. Yes, and two of those at strawweight. They already have fought before. It's gonna be good. And I do want to.
So long ago that they fought, though.
I know, 2012, I believe it was. And I think it was in Jewels before Deep Jewels was even a thing. So crazy. And I want to give myself a little bit of credit for this, just because if you guys do watch Drake's takes over on the Body Lock, shameless plug, go check it out. On the last episode, I actually put this rematch into existence. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I put it out there. So you guys, if you want to think, got a good little insight, I'd like to think. So it was could have seen it coming, but if you didn't, then you probably had no idea. So I to my own horn a little bit there. I was proud of that happening, and when I heard about it. So Jen also looking forward to it. Many don't know about these two. Can't wait, which is a goddamn shame because clearly two pioneers, a goat. I mean, this has all the fun you could ask for. So yeah, gonna be good. Emmy finally reached that point where she could capture a title in Pancrase. Hasn't fought since she won that, which was in 2019. She had knee surgery in December, I believe it was. All healed up now and good to go, of course. But, if you watch that interview when I spoke to her recently, is what it is. Just something she's got to adapt to. And, they've both had knee surgeries throughout their career. These are two pioneers, as I said. And, they know each other very well, aside from just having fought in the past and good friends too. So this is a complete Japanese MMA matchup in terms of everything about it. So it is very fun. Ayaka, though, is an absolute monster still, despite both of their age. They're both, maybe at their peaks right now. So gonna be fun. I am very, very excited for it. And yeah, not the fight I expected, but cool. It's good. It's just good to see Emmy get an opportunity on a stage like Rise. And I think we knew it would happen eventually, maybe, or at least we hoped. It was kind of tough to see with how long into the career she was getting, but you love to see that. So
I guess Ren is not fighting.
yeah, not Hamasaki anyway. So look at that old school mentality. They're willing to fight each other despite the friendship, but maybe not everybody is. No, is what it is. But Chuck says, I don't think the weight class or the weight issue is in question. The Japanese MMA scene just loves putting champs in non-title bouts because Japan. I don't really think it's just as simple as that, Chuck. I get that we have a little bit of the history, but I think it is more of a promotional business side of things, as we kind of alluded to there. But
yeah,
more
I think it's
Emmy's promotional.
Emmy's the pancreas champion.
Yeah, because also, if you guys watched that same episode of Broad Horizon with Emmy on it, when Shingo and I were doing our questions, he was asked if Rise had a say in the matchmaking for Shiratori's fights and, a part of the one night kickboxing tournament. You remember that from Rise at 29? And he said, yes, yes, other promotions do have a say in what their primary fighters, maybe who they get to fight in Ryzen and whatnot. So in some of these situations, of course, that's not the same. It's not the case with everybody, like Horiguchi versus Kai 1, for example, or Horiguchi versus, Ben Wynn. We've seen it a bit more with the bantamweights and all that, but I think there's more to it, I think, than just being, silly. But yeah. And yes, I know they've been doing it for a while, but there's a lot that goes into these things, promotion wise, but maybe a little bit of protecting is what it is. But it builds, maybe it can build a story, as you saw with Horiguchi and Kai. But yeah, we got some.
Rain says evenly matched, baby. Jimmy says go Hamasaki. Go says this is going to be a fun matchup. And then Alvin says, I will be rooting for Ms. Hamasaki. Love her grappling skills and love it when the smaller fighter defeats the larger one, but no disrespect towards Ms. Fujita.
He is just so kind. I love it.
He's so popular.
Indeed.
Wants the best, but he's watching MMA.
Yep. Gotta love it. Gotta love that rematch. I love rematches with that story.
One of those purist, like karate lovers or something.
A throwback.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Definitely rare to see in the MMA community, but we love it, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate these fighters, two fantastic individuals. Great humans aside from being great fighters. So, all right, as we move on, we have a strawweight fight that was made. We mentioned Randa earlier. She's got her next fight. Surprisingly, not a Pinheiro rematch, but a fight that I believe this one was supposed to happen at some point earlier than now, Steve. But here we are.
Yeah, she'll be taking on Olivia Renatas Souza in October, all the way in October. So I'm assuming this would be Randa's last fight if she loses. If not, then she's hanging on for one more.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately that's the case, right? But I think it could be for either because, Souza, of course, we know how good that she really is. Anyone who knows Olivia Souza knows how good that she truly is, but it's just been rough in the UFC so far. Just has not performed the way we know she can, aside from her debut, which was a toss-up in a fight that I was very upset that they made in the first place. Against Alex Chambers, that is, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this one here, I feel like it was supposed to happen earlier, but somebody, Souza had to pull out for whatever reason. Getting it now, fine matchmaking, I suppose. Very kind of surprised that they aren't trying to rebook the Panera one. Maybe Luana's not ready quite yet. Randa looks to be in great shape right now. If you follow her on Instagram, she's been posting.
Isn't she always in good shape though? She
is.
I don't think that I've ever seen her in bad shape.
Yeah, but
even when she was injured.
Right. Yeah, she's always pretty tip top there. And James asks, what happens if Randa dominates Souza in a boring decision? Do you cut both? No. No. We don't do that. I'm fond of both ladies. Get rid of them, says Steve. But what if it's just wrestling beauty? You don't want to see them leave after that.
Not if they're wrestling each other.
Well, that's the interesting thing about this matchup is on the feet should be pretty fun. And, we've never seen Randa finished by strikes. And we know that Livia does pack some power, but is it enough to put away Randa? Hard to say. She's had so many fights over the years, fought just about everybody. And, we obviously Livia just got knocked out by Lemos, who Lemos clearly hits harder than most in the division.
Very, very hard.
But we'll have that to crack the chin. Questions to be answered on the ground. Very fun jiu-jitsu versus wrestling fight, which hope we get to see that. But it's a fun matchup. And I think that, Randa has a better chance to win this at this exact stage now, having seen just what's happened with Livia and her UFC career so far hasn't looked that great, and then just getting knocked out. And Randa moving to train with Kevin Holland, Derek Lewis, and everybody down there in Texas, right? Assuming that she will go back down there for this camp. It's a close one. I think. But yeah, I don't know.
It should be a good fight. Should be entertaining.
Should be. So,
I mean, when is the Randa Marcos fight not entertaining?
Exactly. So, unfortunately, though, it is one where somebody's got to lose. And possibly, jobs could be on the line. So, all right. Moving on. That comment.
And says they might be reluctant to grapple because of the pandemic. Stephen A. Smith.
Great use of a quote there, Jin. Glad to have you back. Oh, man.
Rue doesn't think that they should cut both because there's nothing wrong with either of them. They are just not at their peak.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, Randa's been around for a long time, so I think we've seen her peak.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Let's see how old Livia is. I know Randa's about 36 now, so
she's not as young as you guys think she is.
Yeah, Randa. Livia's 30 still. So I mean, she could always turn things around and go back to that Invicta champ status that we saw. But
she's closer to her peak than Randa is.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see. Looking forward to that one, which is a week before the old birthday. So, all right. We had the news last week of old Pam Bam, the Invicta champ, going to Bellator. Now we know who she'll be facing. And shout out to Sports Follower, who he gave us a Twitter mailbag question last week, which we got the answer right, Steve, about Velasquez's her shorts or whatever. So we know what we're talking about. That's good. So we got the trivia right. He told me that. And he actually told me the news of this fight, and I didn't see it anywhere, even when I looked afterwards. So shout out to him I'm going to give him credit for breaking this before everybody else. But here we are.
Pam Sorenson versus Roberta Samad, set for Bellator 264, August 13th, which is just in a couple of weeks, man.
Yeah. So cool to see Samad in Bellator. I mean, I was really looking forward to actually, what was it, Kayla's first season in the PFL. I really wanted to see Samad in her fight because, Samad, I remember, got that really nice dominant ground and pound victory against was it Charnovsky, Muriel Charnesky, whatever her last name is. And then she got injured or sick afterward and wasn't able to fight in the next fight. I don't think it was Kayla, but she was out of the tournament after that. So it was like, oh shit. And we haven't seen her since then. So now she's back and she's in Bellator, which good grab, for Bellator, I think. Both of these ladies, obviously. So not quite the matchup we were talking about, Steve, last week, clearly, but they had somebody in mind, and
it's her first.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Her first.
Yeah, should be a good one. I feel like it's one of those fights where a little bit of a trap fight for Pam in the debut, because Samad, I think, could win it. Like stylistically, as we said, not a fight we would have thought of making just in the grand scheme of things. We mentioned, Blenko, Bud, those type of people up there, because Pam is, one of the best featherweights, and she's the champ. She's still the Invicta champ in our hearts. Sure, she doesn't have the belt anymore, but we know she didn't lose. So getting Samad, who's a very talented grappler and not a bad fighter herself, stylistically, it's a little bit of a trappy matchup for the debut. So we'll see. And that leads Ghost, to asking if Sorenson wins, does she get an automatic title shot?
Dude, she could have walked into Bellator right now and gotten a title shot, and I would have been perfectly fine with it. We said that last week.
Yeah. And that's just the thing, though, about this matchup, too, which feels weird. Is like, it feels weird to do that off of a Samad victory. Not that it matters too much, because Pam is already coming in as champion, but it's like, you would think Bellator, they would want to really establish that by Pam potentially getting a win over a name that Bellator fans know. Because Samad is new to Bellator fans too. And yes, hardcore MMA fans know of Samad from PFL and all that, but not many people know of her. Right. Blenko and Bud are much more popular, and they might not even know better fighters.
Sorenson is either.
Right. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, in terms of making this fight, it doesn't look like it to me, but I guess anything's possible, Ghost. And yeah, I mean, she should, I think, as we said. So we'll see. And especially with kind of the weird hinting that Kat Zingano seems to be doing lately. Like, is she a free agent right now? Like, I'm kind of curious to do some investigating.
Didn't I tell you?
Yeah, you pointed that out. And
about Misha Tate.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna try and look into that a little bit, but weird comments from her, So yeah.
Maybe she's frustrated. I don't know.
Yeah, do not know, but either way,
she's being cryptic about her shit.
Yeah, very much so. But good to see Pam and Roberta in Bellator now. And as we move on here, I believe that this will be breaking news, you guys. I feel like it might be out, but if not, then I'm unintentionally breaking some news. So if you saw on the lineup, Steve, we have a fight that, surprising, non-playoff related fight for PFL in 2 weeks or so. And if this is not out already, it's going to be announced, I believe, tomorrow. But either way, maybe a scoop for you guys. So here we are.
Caitlin Young versus Marina Makanya. PFL 2021. Oh, look at her, all bright.
That pronunciation right there.
Yeah, how do you say your name?
Maknatkina.
Uh-huh.
So
you didn't do great either.
Maknatkina. So yeah, I mean, Marina just fought Amanda Bell. Remember this, Steve? And she knocked her out of the promotion, essentially. And then days after, announced that she was a free agent and then signed with PFL days after that win, which, first of all, I'm going to assume that Bellator just didn't give her an offer because of how quickly that was. And like, why would you let her go after a win over Amanda Bell, who, yes, we know Amanda Bell's not the best, but she's a name and has been around for a while. And Marina got back on track after the Jenny Harding loss. You remember that one? You know, we broke that one down at the time. So yeah, now she is in the PFL, going up lightweight and taking on the one and only Caitlin Young here on the 19th, which good fight. Happy to see Caitlin able to stay active despite not making the playoffs, which a bummer to not see Caitlin in there. But Marina going up in weight, as most of these featherweights have done. But yeah, she is training at Sanford right now, which so saw her last weekend and planning to speak with her soon, actually, sometimes this week. Yeah, she looks pretty big for the division. Like, I didn't see her and Kayla next to each other, but they seemed like, just from looking at them, you know, I was closer to Kayla this past week, but seems like she fits in some pretty good size for someone who used to be at bantamweight and was just fighting at featherweight. But just weird to me for Bellator to not hang on to her, you know. But
Bellator's being worried about shit too, though.
yeah, I mean, you know, you're letting these certain people go, and then you bring in Samad, like we just said, and I don't know, all over the place. But
He's a weirdo.
Chuck with some insight of his own, saying he heard Marina ask for the release, and Bellator, in their infinite wisdom, just let a top 10 fighter walk.
They're weirdos, dude. I don't understand Bellator's thought process. Like, they can be, they're frustrating. They're very frustrating.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the best way to put it, right? And Jin says, I don't like the 155-pound division for women. It's not a thing. It's not a real thing.
It's not even a division. It's garbage. They're trying to build it for Kayla. And now I guess it's built. But, I mean, that's it. Like, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Like, dude, we talked about it. I didn't even remember that it was going on. That card was going on. And it was full of their fights. Like,
yeah.
There's like negative interest for me.
Yeah, but
Jimmy said Bellator is more concerned about selling trash like Zingano versus Parker.
Gotta do what they gotta do.
Sammy says next week's card for Bellator is great, which we'll get to, but most cards are trash. I don't know if they're trash. It's different. It's different being there live. Like, we keep saying this. It's different being there live than watching on TV. They don't do their best for television.
Yeah. I don't know. It is very odd with them. The show, ever since coming back for Showtime has been weird.
It's just frustrating. Like, you would think now that they're on Showtime, and Showtime does fight sports really well, right?
Yeah. You
would think that they would put video packages up. They would do really nice breakdowns of fights and stuff like that. They just took what they had and moved to Showtime, and that was it.
Yeah, for the most part, it's a little bit cleaner and what have you, but yeah, it actually hasn't been too much different. So I don't know, but I mean, I think they're selling this main event coming up this weekend as best as they can. So
they are. They are. But I mean, like Sammy said, this weekend's card is excellent. So the fights are speaking for itself. Right. This specific card, they don't really have to sell it to us. We're sold. We're fucking sold on McKee and Pitbull. We are sold on that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's absolutely no selling that needs to be done on that one. But
No.
yeah. So
Rain says definitely not their best on TV, and their announce team does not help that at all either. Rue says, when you have Big John doing the promo, you know you have problems. It's true.
Well, is what it is. So, Caitlin Young and Marina, though, I think it should be a pretty fun fight. Caitlin Young fights are always fun, and new home for Marina, so that should be something to watch for. But that is all we got for the news this week, you guys. So it is time for our previews of count them, 3 events we got coming up, a total of 6 fights. Oh boy, Steve. One championship is back. Where have they been all our lives, right? Where have they been?
Time off.
Taking a little break. Singapore, very strict, as you gotta be. Keep everybody safe and all that. But it is the return of the prodigy child, Victoria Lee, Steve.
Yeah, against Wang Luping. Victoria Lee, amazing young prospect. The third Lee in one. Lee times 3.
Lee X3.
This is the third coming of the Lees. 16 years old, just an amazing prospect, kicking ass. Wouldn't be surprised if she loses this fight, though, Drake.
Yeah, it's a much tougher one, I think, than the debut. Wang Luping coming in here on a 3-fight winning streak, looking good in this last 3, and has a very strong top game. Has shown pretty good killer instinct, I think, in the fights so far, despite just having 5. But she has looked pretty good.
4 more than Lee.
4 more than Lee has, but Victoria Lee, don't get it twisted though. She did look like she's been fighting for much longer than no fights, no professional MMA fights in her first fight against Sinisa.
I mean, it doesn't hurt her that her 2 siblings are amazing champions.
Yeah, exactly. She looked phenomenal in that debut, but again, taking on Luping here, which I think Luping's going to be a little bit undersized. They don't have obviously Victoria's height and reach on here, but I'm pretty sure that she's around like 5'6" ish. So we'll see how the size comes into play here on the feet. She should probably have an advantage, but if Luping can get on top of her, as I said, pretty solid ground and pound, controls very well, switches up the chain submissions together very well. Specifically, go and look at that Mai Jan Ma fight, where she got the armbar in that one, had her back, and then transitioned it into an armbar. I think maybe there was a triangle before that, but just the way that she really worked that and got the submission was pretty beautiful. Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen that, check that fight out as a good example of what she can do on the ground, at least from top position. So I like this one. It's a very good opener. Of course, see how Victoria looks in her second fight, if she's more comfortable. She seemed a little, if there was any nitpick, maybe to have, it was that she was super aggressive, which I feel like that's every debut fighter, right? And
it's her age. It has a lot to do with her age. She's a ball of energy.
Yeah, definitely.
She's 16. So she, I mean, I remember 16-year-old, like nonstop. You got all this energy.
Right. So
she needs to channel all that energy, though. And if she loses, then it might be good for her. I don't necessarily think that it would be a bad thing if she lost a fight.
No doubt about it, especially this early on. Might as well get it out of the way, and always good learning lessons. But of course, if you can adapt without losing and be more comfortable, that's great too. So Chuck saying,
I think it's a weird fight.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, I think. Giving a shout to Karen Pravajra, formerly Karen Date, being better than the LeBron James Victoria Lee. I mean, hey, that's a good shout. I won't say exactly who's better just yet because there's still a lot to be learned, but a good shout indeed. Sammy says Sanda fighters always have strange timing in a good way, though. Generally works out for them.
Methodical for them.
Yeah. And he says, I still favor Victoria just because of height and reach. Exactly. She's going to be favored in those departments. See how she uses them. And Jimmy didn't know the fight was even happening, but he will definitely watch. Yeah, they've been a whole lot quieter with promoting Victoria's second fight here than they were the first one. Of course, debut and all that, but they hyped the shit out of that debut, man. It was all over the place. They had her doing media everywhere. It's crazy, and a lot more subtle with this one. A lot more subtle. So, but yeah, Ghost, of course, losing is always a learning lesson for any fighter, which is, always helps. So, but yeah, man, Sammy says, yep, yeah, in a good way. Hard timing to figure out. But ultimately, Steve, this is a very tough one to pick, right? And you look at,
I don't know. To me, it's like a squash.
Yeah, Looping did fight this year already. That was when her last win was, just 2 months ago. So active enough, not like she's been on the couch or anything. So it is tough. But I think I'm going to go with Victoria just specifically for the fact that she is a Lee. And, as much as I do like
police, man.
Yeah, I do like Looping, and I'm always interested in the Chinese prospects coming up, and she's definitely, a nice one to watch, and great to see her make her one debut here as well. Victoria just looked very good. She looked very good for 16, and who knows how much she has evolved in the time since then. Maybe just if you look at Christian and Angela, they're not even, neither of them's 25 yet. So it's like every single fight, Victoria might be that much better. Just if we're going to go by the siblings, I'm going to trust that. And I'm going to think that it's going to be even scarier.
Like my DNA.
Yeah. It's just built into these freaks. So, nothing against Looping, and I think she will have success no matter what in this fight. Like Sunisa had advantageous positions in their fight, right? I remember her getting the back. And so it'll be dangerous if Victoria gives up positions like that. And I'm sure that she probably will, but she was able to fight out of it. And I'm just going to believe in the Lee name. That's a thing for me here. So I'll take Victoria Lee by, I'm going to say third round submission. I think that she will catch. Okay, Jimmy, 25, still, that's still crazy. Thank you though for the clarification. But yeah, I'll take Victoria by third round submission, maybe another RNC. We'll see. I'm really looking forward to this fight though.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, how do you go against the Lee? I can't. Like, it's really hard. I said in the opening, Looping will be a very tough fight for her. Should be a very tough fight for her. But how do you go against the Lee name? How do you go against them? You just don't. You don't until they lose. And we have to see the young Victoria Lee lose. She's just 26. It could happen in this fight. It could happen down the road. Until then, I probably won't be picking against her.
Totally fair.
I'm going to go with Lee decision.
Yep. There you have it, folks. Good kickoff to this card here.
Drew says, one does some weird things with their matchmaking. Is this going to be like Sage versus Cosmo? I don't think so.
No, not quite like that. That was wild. That was a pretty unique circumstance there. Yeah, Cosmo Alexander, one of the best kickboxers, maybe the best kickboxer they could have put Sage against. That had competed in MMA before. Yeah, that one was a very bold move, Cotton. So, yeah, I don't think
in the asses.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Wang Luping, all respect to her, is quite at that established veteran level
Look,
that you're proposing there.
I don't
Because
think the
she's,
Sage, I don't think the Sage Northcutt's a very good fighter.
well, there's that too. There's that as well.
He's incredibly nice. I've talked to him face to face. Incredibly nice man. You know, very handsome, big, and stuff like that. Just not a great fighter. Like, let's be honest about this shit.
I mean, you're not saying anything new, buddy. It's like, it's just, you pretty much summed it up perfectly. So, I mean, he had his face broken. We haven't seen him since.
Right. Chuck says, one, matchmakers know how to build prospects. They have zero confidence in Wang to win.
Yeah, that's generally, it's hard to disagree with him. You look at the track records of some people. But
up and comer, Rose says up and comer versus established veteran.
no, they're both prospects still.
3 and 2 is not really established.
Yeah. And I mean, what she I closed it, but she's only been fighting since like 2019, I think. So she's got those 5 fights in relatively quickly.
Well, she did 3 of them in this whole year, in this calendar year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So not quite there yet, Rue, but
they're
we'll see how she looks.
Prospects.
Yeah, indeed. So Steve and I agree on that one, but boy, oh boy, this is the one I'm really excited for. And we didn't talk about it when it was announced because I missed it. They didn't really even say anything about it.
Really say, well, they didn't say much about this entire card, really.
True. Yeah, very true. I mean, and it's an Ongla card.
And they have great fights. I mean, yeah, Ong Song, like one of the best.
Is back, yeah.
One of the best fighters in the world. Even though he's coming off a loss, still he's one of the best fighters in the world and one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
How big is he?
He's a pretty big dude. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a monster.
Pretty solid.
He's a monster.
Yeah, thick guy indeed. Yeah, I mean he's pretty solidly that light heavyweightish range. So yeah, I was very close to him as well. Good guy, very friendly. But yes, I'm very excited for this one, Steve. Also at atomweight.
Yeah, Ritu's back. But
Lynn's back.
Yeah, then she'll be fighting Lynn. So it's like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, didn't expect this. I was waiting to see who Lynn was gonna fight. When I caught up with her, what was it, like 2 months ago when we chatted? She was still just kind of waiting and explained why. It worked out for her, Steve. When you look at it, because I asked her, remember why she wasn't in the tournament. And she said she rejected it because she believed she's earned her title shot and all that, which, people had their feelings about, which is totally fair. But it worked out for her because now she's getting to fight before the fucking tournament. So, which is nonsense. We won't get too much into that. But Ritu, who was supposed to be in the tournament, mind you, and then had the controversial loss to Bean Nguyen her last time out.
So upsetting, dude.
Here we are. With
really I wanted Ritu to be in the tournament, just be in the tournament. Right. And now she's fighting twice before the tournament.
It's insane. It has been a fucking mess, and they should it's not gonna finish this year now. Not a goddamn chance. They should practically just abandon the thing. Poor Angela Lee is gonna have to wait much longer.
Abandon it.
All the fighters, I feel so terrible for all of them.
Time out. They're not going to abandon that shit. There's no way that they abandon.
No, they're not. But
they're not going to abandon it. But they could have dealt better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
we talked about this. We talked about this when all the shenanigans happened, when the fuckery happened. We talked about it. It's upsetting. Do we have to go through that again? You know what I mean? Let's talk about Ritu.
Yeah.
And Lynn.
Yeah. So either way, this fight, I like it a lot. I'm just very happy to see Lynn back mostly because, you guys, she's been out since what, 22 years and 4 months now. The pandemic was kind of a reason that kept her out for longer, as, being in China and kind of stuck there and all that. Now was able to come back, and just a matter of finding somebody for her to fight. And she gets the Indian Tigress now outside of the tournament. Obviously, we know what Ritu is good at. Very good wrestler. Lynn is a very good striker. Showed off the submission skills in that last time out, which was her one championship debut against Jomari Torres. Pulled off the triangle, and she's excited to show off more of her submission and grappling skills, which she's been working on a whole lot since then. But I think that depending on if she's rusty or anything like that, Steve, this should favor Lynn fairly heavily, because obviously the experience very much in her favor. 14-2-1 to Ritu's 4-1, where she got kind of exposed against B. Which
is weird. Like, she shouldn't have been.
No, we did not expect that. Gassed out a little bit. Striking was not very good.
Crazy. She's a wrestler. Wrestlers don't gas.
Yeah.
Something happened. I'm convinced something happened.
Yeah, and then
she had a bad camp, or like she didn't know, and she just took the fight.
Well, that's what happened. She was supposed to fight Magbo.
But
I know.
Something happened though. She's a wrestler. They do not gas.
Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting fight. Obviously, very controversial, as we said, in terms of the outcome and what it did to the tournament, all that nonsense. But either way, if she gets Lynn down, she's going to have success, of course. But Lynn, as I said, has been working a whole lot on the grappling and showed off, that triangle skills and submission skills in that last win, which was a while ago. Yes, but she's had all this time to get healthier and recover, because she was kind of having some injury stuff as well towards the end of that break and all that. But yeah, man, if Ritu doesn't show some serious improvements, and can't finish Lynn early in this one, I think she's going to be in some real trouble. Also, again, assuming Lynn doesn't struggle herself with all the time away, but seems like she's been, training a whole bunch still regardless. So expect her to come in as best as she can. So just such a roller coaster it's been with some of these fighters and the atomweight tournament and all that. But I like the fighting sister, man. I really do. And I would love to see her in the tournament, and I hope to see her against some of those fighters. And I guess this is a little bit of that, as close as we can get without being right in there, because Ritu again was supposed to be in there. But yeah, it just comes down to her being able to defend, I think, because Ritu's striking was just very not great. Very, very, needs some work.
It wasn't there.
Yeah, it was not too great. So for me, I think Lynn, if she's going to put away Ritu. Second round TKO, I think. That is my pick. She's got the ability to do so, especially on the feet. So
she does.
Fighting sister's back.
But like Chuck is saying, Ritu is just being overhyped. She's an Indian fighter. Maybe they're going for that, with her. But then he said, like most of one's prospects. Man,
I mean, the experience difference in this one too is just so ridiculous.
I want to think that Ritu will be able to take Lynn down, but she should have been able to take B down, and dominate.
Right.
And that didn't happen. So we've seen a lot more from Lynn. 14-2-1 compared to 4-1. Lynn is really good. she's a good fighter. So I think that she ends up beating Ritu, in 2 losses in a row for Ritu. Not good. But That's kind of what happens when you throw all of your eggs into the basket with a prospect, and you put him against tough fighters. B's a good fighter. Lynn's a good fighter.
Yeah.
At least wait to get her into the tournament. But
I mean, the B fight just showed us that it probably wasn't going to work out too well. I mean, just look at the size difference alone. Like in this fight, as you can see, just the height there for Ritu. She is one of the shorter 115ers in.
Yeah, she's just strong and stocky. That's what she is.
Yeah, and she is a great wrestler. Don't get us wrong, but again, you look at the competition, and it's just she was going to be outsized by a lot of people.
By basically all of them?
Yeah, definitely so. I think that she will definitely hit some takedowns, probably. I mean, of course, she will try to.
She's going to have to. Yeah. She's going to have to. The way that she didn't strike last fight, something has to change.
She did. Right.
Something has to change. It's either you get the takedown and you dominate on the ground, or you strike on the feet. You change the way that you were not striking on the feet from the last fight. And going into this fight, like, you need to be able to hang on the feet, and I don't know if she's going to be able to. After what we saw against B,
I would be shocked.
I don't know if she'll be able to hang with Lynn. And that's why I'm picking Lynn. I think Ritu's tough, and I think it probably goes to a decision for Lynn.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Makoto gives us welcome, Makoto. He gives us a fact. Lynn is one of Whaley's friends from Black Tiger, and Zhang is a big Ritu fan.
There we go. Fun facts from Makoto. Lynn, fantastic personality. She was really fun to talk to when I did a couple months ago, and she actually just did the virtual media day, I think, like around when we started this. So,
right now.
About 7. So that should be up for you guys, or live. It'll be on some websites and out there. So I look forward to seeing how that went. I mean, they can be a little rough sometimes, but Lynn, fantastic personality. She's really fun. So in and out of the cage. Excited to see her back, and most of these fighters are, but so Steve and I both on the Fighting Sister side team this one, and Alvin loves the nickname. What a phenomenal nickname, he says. Phenomenal. And great story behind how she got that too, Alvin. If you want to go check out that interview, shameless plug, on my channel with Lynn. I asked her about how she got that, so yeah.
Ghost says a legit strategy for Lynn would be just let Ritu shoot and get her down, but get up right away to gas Ritu. But again, she's a wrestler. Wrestlers shouldn't gas when they're taking people down. Like, that's just not what wrestlers do. I don't know what happened in the last fight.
I think that B was working the body pretty good. From what I remember, I could be wrong, but I feel like I remember some pretty solid kicks getting in there from her. But I know.
The Lich Old Scott Decision says, I like Ritu wrestling, but not sure in this one.
It's a tough one, man.
Same. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestler. So, but again, like, the only thing that I can think about now is her last fight, and it wasn't good. It just was not a good fight. Can she bounce back? I guess so. I mean, yeah.
Tough rebound fight. Very tough.
Really bad one. This is really bad fight. Like I said, this is 2 fights now that are not good, not easy fights. Should have been in a tournament. Instead, she's fighting these fights where she might go 0-2.
Yeah. So, Ghost bringing up that to you.
You know how tiring it is to shoot 20 times as a wrestler. I do. It's incredibly tiring. She hit a wall. She definitely hit a wall, which shouldn't have happened against B, because B is not one of the top fighters.
Yeah, B was on a losing streak. It was looking a little dicey for her.
Yeah, man.
So either way, looking very much forward to that one Battleground card in general, actually. So gonna be a good one. Just happy to have them fighting.
Title fight at the top, Muay Thai title fight.
Yep, Sam A. And hopefully we get the atomweight nonsense sorted soon. And maybe, Steve, maybe one will be in America, as I don't know if you saw the Colorado thing.
I did. I saw that.
Very cool. Very cool. So we'll see.
But they talked about coming to America before, like pre-pandemic. They were talking about coming here.
Yeah.
Colorado's not too far from us, Drake.
Oh, I would love to be there.
I'm just saying, Colorado's not too far from us.
No, it is not. Smack dab in the middle of the country.
It's only a few states away from you and I.
That it is. So we'll see how that goes, you guys. But we do have UFC Vegas 33 also the day after, with 3 fights kicking things off.
Back, baby.
That she is. And at strawweight, getting it started here.
Yep. Jinyu Frey versus Ashley Yoder. Man, like you think that Jin wins this fight, right?
It's tough. It's tough. Ashley's a big strawweight.
You know? That's what I'm saying. Is you would think that Jin wins this fight. I don't know if she does or not.
Yeah. And as we see here, we got Ashley Yoder, slight favorite,
because I'm leaning Yoder.
Ooh.
After what we've seen with Jin lately.
Yeah. I think the size is going to be a pretty big factor in this one. I mean, you look at Jin's last win, which was over Gloria DePaula, who, well, we'll get to. Funny enough, we will get to her after the person who beat her. Yeah, we'll get to that. Some thoughts there, but Ashley Yoder, coming off that Angela Hill loss in the rematch, but of course, typically she will make it. One of those fighters who makes fights a lot closer than we kind of always expect them to, Steve, and kind of that spider monkey nickname for a reason, because she is all over you. So if this gets into a grappling exchange, I think that there will be advantageous positions for both. I mean, she's pretty active off her back. Striking, I do give the edge to Jin technically, but she's this strawweight just doesn't suit her properly to be her best. And
no,
I think that's why, it's just going to be a lot more difficult for her than as if she was at atomweight in her prime, which, it's a combination of things. We've talked about this every time we've talked about Jin since she's gone to the UFC, is that she's just not in her prime anymore and at the weight class where she can be her best. And there's many reasons, right? The injury kind of stuff she was having and all that kind of thing. But it is what it is. And yeah, I as much as it would be great, see Jin get a winning streak put together here and do something like that, it's just hard to imagine it. I think that this fight could be fun and close no matter what. I think
you couldn't even talk me into picking Jin. Like, I really want to. Like, I really want to pick Jin in this fight. I really do.
Yeah,
I can't. Like, I don't see it.
Yeah, and Jimmy says Jin hasn't looked good even during her win against Gloria.
Right.
It was primarily the grappling in that one. Yeah. So, and it wasn't lay and pray necessarily, but kind of more of shut down. Shut Gloria down by closing the distance and getting on top of her and all that. And welcome, Stamina, by the way. Good to see you, sir. newly minted mod from last week.
Haven't
But
needed.
yeah, haven't needed you, thankfully, for that purpose. Yeah, man.
Trolls must be sleeping right now, or
They must be asleep.
Busy fucking around somewhere else.
Yeah, which is good. So, not good, but good for us. Yeah, man. I just think, and this is again a position where if Yoder loses, very well could be out. 1-3 in the last 4 there. Got beat pretty clearly by Angela in the rematch. But yeah, I think I can't really picture Ashley finishing Jin, but I think she's gonna just be a little too much, mostly everywhere. I think that she'll get hit with some good shots, but again, Ashley will do more damage if and when she lands on the feet.
For sure, she's a lot bigger.
Yeah,
and strong.
That's just going to be the difference maker, I think. So Ashley Yoder, as much as it pains me for Jen's side of things, unanimous for me.
Yeah, coming into our show, I was thinking to myself, like, I want Jen to win this fight for Jen because I like her. But Ashley is such a tough opponent and doesn't go away. And she's a lot bigger and stronger. Like, it's bad. It's a bad matchup for Jen, just from what we've seen from her lately.
Yeah, no doubt. So,
Sammy says, I remember an interview with Frey and her coach, which is her husband, before her debut. Before her debut, her team was game planning against Zhang, Namajunas, and Joanna. Those are the champions. But you got to remember, coming into the UFC, she was a champion. So, of course, they're thinking highly of themselves at that point in time. Now, they've been humbled.
Well, she threw her name in the hat to fill in for Rose against Andrade in the rematch at whatever card that was supposed to be.
Could you imagine her fighting Andrade?
Yeah, not great. Not great.
Or even Rose. I mean, Rose is spectacular, clearly. Rue says, what if Frey loses? Where does she go from that?
Could be the end also, we talked about that. If she lost to DePaula, it was 100%, I think, going to be the end there. But, it's, I never like to say when a fighter should retire, but it'd be like good to get out before it's too late for Jen. I feel like, it's just, we know the ceiling at strawweight. We've already seen it. So
yeah, I think so. I think unfortunately we've seen it and it wasn't that great.
Yeah. So Jin says, Jin commenting on Jin. Terrible matchup for Frey, he says, but stamina here.
Stamina said, appreciated the promotion. Shout to everyone else in the blue corner. If Ashley beats Jin, my second-hand embarrassment will be palpable. And then Jin says, terrible matchup for Frey. Rose says, could you imagine her against any of those 3 top strawweights? Dude, it would have been bad. It would have been terrible.
Yeah.
But again, you got to remember, like, their thought process at that time. She was a champion. She was coming from Invicta, being a wonderful atomweight champion. They were thinking, shit, we can be in there with the best. The UFC has not so much. We've learned that. They've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, she should have been the catalyst for the division in the UFC.
And she's not even fighting the good, the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy how the sport goes, but official pick for you, Steve, or are you decision as well?
Yeah, I'm going Ashley Yoder decision, but I really want Jen to win. I think that she's capable. I don't see how she beats Ashley Yoder right now. Just don't see it.
Yeah. Tough one indeed. And Rain says that would have been funny if the UFC offered Whaley Frey before Frey's debut.
Terrible.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
It would have been bad. It would have been terrible. We've seen what Frey is doing in the UFC, and it's not good. So, I mean, just imagine her against Whaley or Rose or Joanna. It would have been terrible. It would have been bad.
Yeah.
And if the top 115 fighters would feast on her remains, they would be jackals.
Yep. So, as we move on, Steve, knock on wood, she's back. We have a couple days. Knock on wood that this happens, though. Your girl.
Yeah, Nico's back, but is she? That's the question. Like, is she really back? Against Wu Yanan,
You want to be excited.
I do. Like, it's hard to talk about this because without like showing my love for Nico, like it's really hard to talk about Nico when she hasn't fought. So it's just incredibly tough.
Yeah.
As a Nico fan.
Yeah. One of definitely one of the unluckiest UFC careers of all time. She's up there in terms of most canceled fights, the way that she's lost the title, just all the craziness. But I see you, James. He asked, can Nico make weight and not almost die? This is at 135, mind you. So that should be fine, right? That should be totally fine. As you can see, we got some respect for her, though, which is nice to see. Minus 180 from the odds makers, which I think those odds are about right.
I think that's right.
Yeah, on both ends, assuming all systems are go. And last time we did see Nico 2 years ago flat. It's Juliana in a pretty closely contested fight, if you remember. It came down to that last round. Remember when she got stuck on the back? She got backpacked.
Yeah, she did.
But yeah, Nico was doing fine there for the most part, and then haven't seen her since. But here we are training with Syndicate a whole bunch for this fight, and just recently, which is not a bad place to train.
She goes to PI, she goes to Syndicate. Like, she's healthy. She's using a nutritionist. She's in a good place. It looks like she's in a good place.
Yeah, hanging with Ramona, JoJo, everybody over there. But then on the other side,
uneasy. Like, I'm getting uneasy, like thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. On the other side, we got Wu Yanan, of course, 25 years old, one of the Chinese prospects who unfortunately just hasn't quite panned out in the UFC. And Steve, I remember we talked about it. It might have been after her last loss, actually, to Edwards, which, of course, that was earlier this year. And short notice for Edwards, right? Because Wu was supposed to take on Betch. She was supposed to fight Betch, but instead got Jocelyn Edwards, who came in there and did the damn thing. And her only UFC win was that very nice Lauren Mueller submission in China. But other than that, hasn't looked great. And, the Mizuki fight was close enough for a split, but I still felt like Mizuki was pretty comfortably had that. I think the problem with Wu maybe now has been she hasn't comfortably found a solid gym and foundation, right? Like we obviously, Nico seems to be pretty content there with Syndicate. Yeah. As for Wu, who used to be a Tiger Muay Thai, and she was going around a Phuket top team. I think she even was at the Shanghai PI a little bit, which, pretty much has a staff and all that for you to have. And now for this camp, according to people I've talked to, has been with Team Oyama in California, right? So
really,
yeah, just all over the place. Not a bad place to be with. I mean, training with Carla, right? With Carla.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good place for her.
So yeah, that's good news to hear. And I think that's a pretty good camp to help her with the things that she needs to work on. And especially for a matchup like this with Nico, who, if Nico comes in at her best and what we know she's capable of, you know, Steve, she's nasty in that clinch. She'll grind you out. She'll put it on you, can strike.
But the best.
Yeah. So, but it's just all those ifs, you know, on both sides, not just hers, but for Wu, it's just that we need to really see some changes from her, because it's just been, you know, more of the same, getting outworked in pretty much most areas. And even in that Lauren Mueller fight, it was, you know, she got taken down and then pulled off the submission from bottom, which nice, looked very nice. But again, it's like one of those situations where you're not doing good until you're doing good, you know? So, and she's still just 25, right? And has all this, a good amount of experience, can improve, of course, but I think needs that stability. And if she's found at a Team Oyama, then great. And again, a good place to be training at. And Colin Oyama, excuse me, been around the game for a long time. If you guys will remember, was Uncle Creepy's coach. So he's been was coaching him for a long time, back to WEC days and what have you. Tachi Palace, shout out to them. But in a case like this, Steve, it's where I have to believe that the fighters will come in at each of their bests, if not, you know, and hope, you know, maybe they'll be a little bit better with the knowledge we have. But if they come in at their best, then we know automatically that Nico has proven to be the better fighter. So with that in mind, I just think that it should be a vintage Nico performance, maybe with some surprise from Wu, because again, the Team Oyama factor, I think, will be big, especially if she's been working with Carla. That's you know, helps a whole lot with the wrestling. So in a matchup like this, you will need it. But again, we know what Nico is capable of when she's in there. So I'm going to stick with her, and I'm going to say unanimous. I don't think we'll get a finish, but I just hope everything goes according to plan here.
Yeah, I mean, we're still on Monday, and there's plenty of time in between now and weight cuts for something bad to go. Like I get like anxiety even thinking about that with Nico. You know, it's just, she's that fighter. She's that fighter where you don't know what's going to happen in fight week. Unfortunately, she's a champion. She's an MMA champion. She's a UFC champion. Former UFC champion. She's really good. Look what she did in the Tough House. Like, she's a really good fighter. It's just things have gone bad for her. Health-wise, personally, just a lot of, like, it was an accumulation of bad things that happened. And now she hasn't fought in 2 years again. Like, she's 32 years old. Her last fight was when she was 30. Like, it's tough. It's very tough to say about a fighter who, on a personal level, you look up to because of her culturally.
Yeah, native, the impact.
Native. She's done a hell of a lot, not just for the Dine, not just for the Navajo, but she's done a hell of a lot for Native American people in general, all tribes. She's done a hell of a lot for us. I want her to do well, man. Like, fuck, dude. I want her to do well. Like, I can't. I want her to do well. You know, I'm going to take Nico because I can't not take Nico.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. And Stamina, I agree. He says, shush, don't put that energy out in the universe, Ghost.
No, we're not going to put that in.
We're not talking about that.
I see you. I see you, pal. Stamina said earlier, Nico just can't get right. can't even trash her. Like, you can't, like, it's really hard to trash a person who's incredibly nice and like does really nice and good things for other people. Like, it's really hard to trash her. Her whole UFC fight timeline is just fucked up. Misfortune. It's tough, man. It's really tough. Jimmy, like I said, Nico, she also does use the UFC PI. She goes to the PI, uses their nutritionist, goes to she does the strength and conditioning over there.
Right.
And then Syndicate, of course, is all of her training camp and all that. Jimmy asks, why did Paige want to fight Nico back in 2018?
She was the champ.
I would think that Nico would have the advantage in that fight. Absolutely. Paige wasn't a good fighter. Again, kind of like the Sage Northcutt thing, just not that good of a fighter. A pretty face. And if you want to talk about Paige, she got blasted on by Rachel Ostovich this past weekend in bare knuckle fighting. Rachel Ostovich beat Paige Van Zant in bare knuckle fighting, by the way, guys.
How sad is that?
Scott decision is taking Nico, but it's 50-50. I think it's more. I think it's about 60-40. It's just the questions of
right.
It's just the questions of what is going to happen in the lead up. Sammy says that's crazy that Montano hasn't fought in 2 years. Her last fight was in Sacramento, right up the street from me, against Juliana Pena, where, like Drake said, she got backpacked at the end. She was winning that fight.
I remember having it even, and it came down to the third. But I think she won the second round, so momentum was on her side, and then she just got stuck. Yeah.
Valentina trashes her anytime Nico is brought up. She does, because people were, herself included, were talking about Nico versus Valentina at that time. Remember, they were supposed to fight. And Valentina clearly holds a grudge against Nico.
Yeah, let it go, man. Let it go. Yeah.
James asks, does Ostovich even know how to strike? I guess enough to beat Paige Van Zant in bare knuckle fighting. That, by the way, wasn't the fight of the night. Fight of the night was Shanna Stark.
All right.
And Stamina says, not really, in my opinion, but enough to beat Paige Van Zant.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, did not watch. But anyway,
we didn't even talk about it last week. I didn't even mention it. I typically do, and I just forgot, I guess.
Oh, how funny. But all on the same team there again, having faith in Nico, as we should, I think. And so here we go, Steve, too. Oh, I'm sure you guys are going to have a field day with this one. And the absolute absurdity that this fight is as high on this card as it fucking is drives me insane. This is the fight before the co-main event, Steve.
Oh. Yep. Cheyenne Bays versus Gloria DePaula. We know why Bays is on the main card and so high. Look at that picture of Gloria, by the way. That's a good one.
It drives me so insane, though. Like they both lost their last fights. They both did. Gloria lost to the fighter that's earlier on in this card. She lost to Jin. Nico, yeah, she hasn't fought in a while, but that's a former champion. Both of these fighters are 0-1 in the UFC.
Let's be honest. This isn't a good fight card, by the way.
A lot of people have been very negative about this.
And there's like 15 fights on this card.
Jimmy, preach it, man. He says, what the fuck is this doing so high on the card? I wish I could tell you. Rue says maybe Bias can defend a head and arm throw. I don't think she'll have to worry about that against DePaula.
And doubtful if it happens.
James says cut base. Rain, what kind of matchup is this? Chuck says they're both contender series fighters.
Hey, this is a contender series fight on a UFC card.
Got DePaula. Stamina says, yuck, I hear the sound of symphony. These matchups drive me wild. Stammy, I'm not even going to watch this, he says. So
you will.
So the thing is, right, like, the thing that pisses me off the most about this is the fact that it's positioned where it is. I don't have anything wrong with the fight itself. I think DePaula is a very solid prospect. I really do. And
Baze is the favorite.
Yeah, oddly enough, Baze favored, but what we've seen from DePaula, I like a little bit more. And if you look back at the Jin fight, which we just talked about, yeah, she was doing very well. She was winning the stand-up against Jin, and the only reason she lost was because Jin was able to take her down. Her takedown defense was borderline not really a thing. It wasn't really there. So we know that Cheyenne Baze, as we've seen from her short career to this point, if she can dictate a little bit and dictate the action and get her strikes off, she can have success. But in terms of grappling, I think that it will be in her best interest to try and take this to the ground, but I don't know if she will. That just hasn't seemed like her MO. And especially after how the last fight went, I think she'll really want to perform and try and be a little flashy. Get highlight. You look at just the Ruiz fight, and she's got a bit of a personality, right? And obviously one that people don't seem to like very much. But
dude, the way that she treated Montserrat afterward, just so unlikable.
Yeah, it was man, what a sequence that was. But Rue asks, what is Baze even doing in the UFC? Jin says watching Baze fight is like watching paint dry. Goodness.
Said, getting young men to part with their dollars, bro. That's why he's in the UFC.
Yeah,
Doris Phantom, it's going to be so funny when Baze tries to get her takedown defense spinning attacks.
Taekwondo. But yeah, man, I really think that Gloria should be able to win this relatively easily, assuming again that she keeps Baze off her, which I think it's going to play out like this.
I mean, you would think.
Yeah, I think that Gloria is going to piece her up on the feet, just do her thing, Muay Thai, maybe get a little in that clinch, whatever, even strike from distance. I think just wherever it goes on the feet, she should be pretty fine there. And Baze won't realize that she needs to change it up until perhaps maybe the end of the second, definitely the third, by the time it's too late. Maybe we'll see another robbery. Who knows? Can't predict that, but I think she will realize once it's a little too late that, okay, I should probably stop trying to strike. But I don't see Cheyenne having a whole lot of success here. And so if I was to throw a bet down, I would definitely put a little bit of something on DePaul. I mean, I'm not super.
There's not a whole lot to win there.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but
you
surprising.
You are betting on the underdog, and you'll win. You'll win a little bit. Baze just isn't. She's not UFC caliber. She just isn't UFC caliber. Sorry.
Yeah.
She's not Casey O'Neill.
Not Casey O'Neill. And not even Gloria DePaula, I don't think. Like, I'm very surprised by the odds here. Like, if you just look at the ways that both of them lost their last fights and who they were to, Montserrat Ruiz clearly has much more upside at this point in her career than Jinyu Frey does. at this point, right? Yes,
Yeah.
Jin is much more accomplished and a veteran, all that kind of thing, former champ, yada yada, different weight class, everything you can look at, and just how the fights played out. Like, the odds makers are just silly. They are just very silly to me. But either way, yeah, I like Reigns. Point here says Gloria should KO her if Baze tries to strike from distance. I mean, I'm not going to predict a knockout on Baze until we see her really hurt, because we haven't yet. She's been durable enough to take shots in fights, but I like your line of thinking, and I just think DePaula should be pretty comfortable in this fight until she has to worry about some grappling, unless she's been working on it a lot, which she should have done after the last fight. So,
well, even going into the last fight, she should have done, knowing damn well what Monster Rat does. It's there for you to see.
Yeah, precisely. So for me, I got DePaula by unanimous decision in this one. I just think she'll do her thing standing, and just will only have to worry for the most part about getting put on her back. But even then, see how that goes for her. But yeah,
I agree. I mean, I'm going DePaula. She should win this fight easily. I just don't get it with Baze. I really don't. Plus, she has a bad attitude, one that I don't like. So, I mean, hopefully Gloria wins and just moves on from this, the fuckery. James asks, what is the hype around Baze? I thought you get the hype if you're good. He won a contender fight.
She screamed at her opponent.
And she yeah, what does she scream? She's going to follow her home?
That was something like that. I don't remember if that might have been.
That was against.
That might have been. Yeah, she said like "get the fuck up" or something.
Oh, that's right. Yes. In the contender fight. Yep.
Yeah.
Stamina says there's no hype. Odds makers just factor in non-combat details now and again. They never learn, and that's exactly why I say to look at the female fights. If you're a bettor, look at the female fights, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
At least they got the Yoder fight right.
Yeah.
As far as odds, I would have thought that the odds were going to be for Jin, in favor of Jin, but I'm happy to see the Yoder was the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost is gonna call it spinning shit from now on.
There you go.
Chuck said, send Baze and Ruiz back to Invicta.
Ouch for Montserrat there.
Jimmy says, strawweight has a ton of sharks. Why even get a guppy like Baze a shot in the division?
Yeah, that, I mean, that was pressure.
They're just trying to stick, try to get a good one. Their next page.
They don't even need one.
Try to get their next page Van Zandt. One that brings the eyes in.
Yeah.
Ghost Phantom says, screaming maniacally like a mad woman was invented by Aspen Ladd to get sausages.
Did she do it first, or was it Mallory Martin? We got to give credit to Mallory, even though Aspen is the better fighter. But Mallory Martin, it was one of them. It was one of them.
What a bummer about Aspen Ladd. Now that she's, I mean, we didn't talk about it clearly because there was no fight with Macy. Macy broken foot or something like that, right? Something with her foot.
I don't know.
Pretty sure
it was on her side.
I'm pretty sure it's something with Macy's foot. Now Aspen is asking for a fight with Misha Tate, but I guess she has a fight. Her manager, whatever he is, Jim West, said that Aspen has a fight lined up coming soon. I guess we'll probably be talking about this next week. Is it going to be Misha? Is it going to be, who is it going to be?
TBD.
Ghost Phantom says refined by Antonina Shevchenko. She's the ultimate screamer. She's like scream queen. Jen says, does Baze even get viewers? The UFC thinks so.
Yeah.
Putting this fight on the main card, the UFC is shooting, rolling the dice with this one. I think playing craps with that fight.
Yeah, that they are.
Banshee MMA. I love it.
Yep. There you go.
I love Banshee MMA. That's hilarious.
But you guys, that is UFC Vegas 33. Steve and I, 5 for 5 in agreement here on the fights this week. 3 for 3 on that card. Looking forward to it. Gonna be interesting. Is for sure. But we have
fights too.
Oh yeah, we have one more because there is Bellator happening on the same night, so we're gonna have to be going back and forth, same time. Oh boy, and another rebooking. What did we mention this last week? Maybe I don't remember, but I think we did. But either way, we're getting it. Yep, she's back.
Vanessa Porto.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, we hope to see Vanessa Porto. What a bummer for her.
I know. And then, good Lord, Steve, did you see the rankings knocked her out of the rankings?
All right, man.
Oh, man.
And somebody, I don't know who it was, asked about Bellator. There's reasons why people shit on Bellator. People wouldn't shit on Bellator if there weren't reasons. People shit on Bellator because they give us reasons. The rankings, these new rankings, not good.
No, very bad.
And might I say, keep bringing it up. They're by journalists, media, MMA media, who supposedly know what they're watching and talking about.
Dude, did you see that? Actually, we talked about Marina Magnitskina earlier, who is now not in Bellator, and we knew this for a while, right? Like days after her fight, like I said, but she's still in the rankings, and so is Mitrione, right? So is Mitrione, who is cut now. So yeah, good fun. But either way, Vanessa Porto, Ilara Joanne, still set to go down. A fight that we did break down already when it was supposed to happen the first time. A fight that we expect to be relatively easy for the vet herself, one of the best flyweights in the world, Miss Vanessa Porto, the former Invicta champ, a pioneer through and through, one of the best flyweights ever, against Ilara Joanne, who is all right. She's got some work to do still. We know what we're getting with Vanessa. Still kicking, doing just fine at 37 years old. That only loss to Liz Carmouche. No shame in that one, as we've seen how good Carmouche has looked lately. And again, wasn't even the easiest win for her in that one. She just kind of did her. It was a vintage kind of Carmouche performance. Nothing like this new crazy Carmouche we saw against good old Kana. But here we are with Ilara Joanne. And just again, a case where Porto is better everywhere, right? Like it's
better than everybody everywhere, almost everybody.
Right. So
like, she should be fighting better fighters at the top. We've talked about it. Like, she could have walked in and got a title fight, and it would absolutely been fine, and it would have been fine. But instead, they're not giving her title fights. They're not even giving her like a big name that where people will be interested more after a win.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Which it's ever since, it was respectful matchmaking, of course, to do Carmouche. That was, if you were going to do the title fight, a fight like that was the move to make, right? Because she wins that one, presumably, there you go. There's the title shot, easy. Even though Liz did have to go on a fight again anyway. But to drop it all the way down here to Joanne, who is coming off a loss to Kana herself, which was
in the face, dude.
a year and a half ago. It is a nice, should be relatively easy rebound, but like, she's at this point in her career where she doesn't need that. She's got over 30 fights.
Old, guys. She's 37 years old. Like, she's been
fighting since 2005, 15, 16 years. It's like, it's crazy. It's pretty crazy, but
upsetting, man. It's just shit like this. Again, this is Bellator fuckery at its finest.
Yeah, it is, but had to remake it just because it's supposed to happen the first time.
Don't have to remake it.
Don't have to, but
you made it. It didn't happen. Move on from it. Give Vanessa Porto a better opponent and give her the due that she deserves.
Yeah, indeed. But either way, Vanessa Porto, incredibly well-rounded, can really do it all.
She's gonna beat the brakes off this girl.
She's going to win. And what I think, Steve, we predicted ground and pound TKOs last time.
Yeah.
I have no reason to feel that my prediction should change after the fight not happening. She just has more time to have prepared and be even better. Been in America ever since that Liz Carmouche fight.
Yeah,
so hasn't left. So yeah, Porto pretty much by whatever she wants in this one. The only thing that she has to worry about is getting caught by a submission, as we saw Lara caught Beck, but you ain't catching. You got to be very good to catch Vanessa Porto in a submission. Like, I got to look at this. Let's look at the last time that she lost by submission, if ever. I feel like she might not have ever even been submitted before. I wouldn't be surprised. We got the decisions here. Gets Agnieszka, Jennifer Maia, Barb. All right, Dale Elio, which was back in 2012, and that was prime Dale Elio too, who was a monster, mind you. She beat Amanda Nunes around this time. So Sarah Dale Elio was one of the best flyweights in the world at this time. So all right, a shoulder lock, which I can't even imagine what that looks like. I don't remember seeing that fight, but. And there was she did fight Nunes as well, did Vanessa Porto. Doesn't say what type of loss that was. But either way, point is, the woman doesn't get submitted very often. Yeah. Cyborg, Jennifer Maia, multiple times. Nunes.
Yeah.
Karina Dam was in her first fight, as you saw.
Wild, man. Wild, who Vanessa Porto has fought in her career. She should be getting more love than what she's getting, man, from Bellator. They signed her for a reason.
Yeah.
Why not just? I mean, you would think they would. You would think that she might feel now. Fuck, I should have just stayed with Invicta. I know.
I mean, after Invicta getting the new deal and all that stuff.
And then how she's being treated with Bellator,
and she beat Karina, like, it's like, yeah. But either ways, she at least she's getting to stay relatively active. She did miss out on that year and all that stuff, but
yeah, I guess that's the one thing that was right for her, I suppose.
For sure. So either way, I think I'll stick with the same prediction. She'll overwhelm Joanne. If you look at the Kana fight, that was pretty much what Kana did to her. Just overtime broke her down, and Vanessa can absolutely do that on the feet and on the ground. So I think she'll survive. Maybe an early storm of sorts, but then second or third round get finished by something. I'm gonna stick with TKO though, and I'll stick with round 2. I feel it should be same as it felt the first time. So
Yeah.
Porto.
Stick with what I thought the first time. I'm gonna go round 2, ground and pound.
Yep. And yeah, Ghost. Fair enough. He said, who knows? Lara might throw an elbow and could stop the fight, but unlikely. Shout out to my question earlier. Always a possibility, sir. And a fair shout out because that was a phenomenal breakdown. Once again, you guys.
Jim said this is why we trashed on Bellator. They can do better than this. Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah. And just imagine.
James asked. Go ahead.
If they put Porto against Loretta, Guy, or Diana right now, you beat them all on the same night.
James asked, will the UFC get more views than the Austin Bellator fight card?
Great
because
question.
of value and promotional ability. They're not even really promoting this fight card, really, to be honest.
UFC or Bellator?
Yeah, UFC. Bellator is promoting heavy.
Yeah, they're going all out.
Going heavy on McKee and Pitbull, which totally deserves it, by the way.
And I mean, if you look at it, Steve, typically they do go all out when head-to-head with the UFC. And shameless plug, you guys, if you haven't seen my complete history of the head-to-head events for Bellator and UFC. Yeah, if you look at the past 3 or 4 years when they have been head-to-head, Bellator's cards are always strategically, I'm sure, pretty loaded for the head-to-head cards. And again, the Bellator card is a bit spicier than the UFC one. Especially, I mean, just if this Bellator card was only the main event, I would watch that one fight over the other card. I need to see this main event. Well, it's the best fight ever.
The UFC is it Hall and
Strickland,
and Oates.
All in Oates. Yes, I like that fight too. I really do, but it ain't McKee Pitbull, man. Nah. It ain't McKee Pitbull.
Dude, so, this is finally the end of their tournament. We're finally here. Right. Like, this tournament took for fucking ever.
Pandemic involved, yes, but
yes, but also Bellator.
Right.
Bellator tournaments so fucking ongoing and long and unnecessary. Oh.
And I see Jin here says, I don't know about you guys, but the Bellator card is way better than the UFC one this week. And Jin was the one who pointed out he doesn't know why we're trashing on Bellator. And I want to point out, Jin, I don't have as many beefs as these guys with Bellator. I really don't, Chat and Steve included. But yes, I get that there's a lot of understandable complaints. I think mostly the matchmaking lately has been a problem for me, and 100% the rankings. But what you were saying, primarily the product, I am mostly fine with. Indeed, fighting is fighting,
fine. Dude. Yeah, I've not said anything about Bellator's product. I'm not saying anything about Bellator's product. As much as anybody, I love Bellator going to live events. Dude, I'm a big proponent of people going to Bellator live events to get that whole atmosphere thing. Dude, you and I have been to events together.
Yeah, I'm very bummed I'm not going to be there. I'm so bummed.
It's wonderful, right? Like, it's great. It's a great show. The TV side needs work. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. That's totally fair. As James mentions, matchmaking, rankings, commentary, all problems on TV. So yeah, see, like pretty much what Steve just ethered.
Then said it's like the UFC didn't even try because they knew Pitbull and McKee were on, and they were like, "Fuck it, we got nothing on this shit unless if it's a pay-per-view, and we're not doing a pay-per-view."
Yep. So
they put 15 fights on this card.
Stack it up with some questionable placement, but either way, that is Bellator 263, the lone fight. Oh, Vanessa Porto. I should catch up with her after this one. She was fun to talk to. Just a great person, of course. So yeah, how about that, Steve? A clean sweep on all 6 of these bouts.
Yeah.
We agree on all of them. Should be interesting. Looking forward to. I honestly might be most excited for those one fights, just because I feel like there's the most questions with both of them.
For sure. I'm most excited
Nico and Wu. Yeah, Nico and Wu, definitely.
I'm most excited for Nico.
Good choice.
Personal reasons and whatnot. But yes, like as far as grouped together, the one fights are really good.
Yeah. And Alex is quite fond of, speaking of Vanessa again, he's, of course, gone back and forth with her. I think Vanessa was actually Alex and I's very first interview, I think we did. So that one holds a special place in our hearts, doesn't it, buddy? So yes, after this fight, when she inevitably wins, knock on wood, I'll have to catch up with her. So it should be quite easy. She's easy to get a hold of. Rain here says, when Baze is a third to last fight, the UFC is stretching it. Attaboy. Stamina says 13 fights. UFC card lost 2 bouts already, according to Twitter. Right. Because, what, Alvy's off, and then there was another one, I think.
COVID issues or what?
No, his opponent. I think Alvy's got a fight booked already. So.
Oh.
But yes, and Alex says he thinks it was. Pretty sure. So there we go. But all right, we have reached the end of the road, nearly the 3-hour mark. Very hungry, but this has been a good show. As always, good hanging out with everybody. Episode 60, Steve. 40 more weeks until a big 100. So,
what are we going to do in 40 weeks, guys?
Oh, I know. I really want to do a live in-person episode, but obviously that needs some things to align. Maybe one of us goes on vacation. Maybe there's a fight card. Who knows?
And an event or something like that.
Yeah, I know. We gotta. Yeah, Bellator needs to come back to LA sooner. San Jose. Yeah. The San Jose. I like the San Jose cards. They're always fun. Like
that's home for Bellator.
Yeah. So hopefully they can get in there soon.
What is this Connecticut shit?
It's South Dakota.
Bring it home. Yeah, bring it home, man.
I looked actually today just to look at South Dakota ticket prices, and they're surprisingly expensive for like that state, just to be honest. Yeah. I don't know if it's a distance thing. I don't know how even if you do far out, still they're around like 400-ish. I know, right? Like, it's kind of surprising. Whereas it can get $100 for a Vegas ticket, nice and easy.
Yeah.
So
that's wild, dude.
Oh well, yeah. You would think it'd be cheaper. Who knows? But anyways, guys,
in that arena.
Yeah.
Does South Dakota even exist?
Is it even a real place?
A lot of natives there. I shouldn't be saying
that. Right. You're gonna get yourself in trouble. But
literally named Dakota.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Let's wrap it on up. Don't forget, you guys, follow us, like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already, for whatever reason, at Drake Riggs _, at Steve K _MMA, at The Scrap News. We're building up greatly, you guys. Of course, 60 episodes in, I would hope that we're building some good traction. Got some consistency. The numbers are looking better and better. Always trying to think of more ideas to improve and all that kind of thing. But appreciate the support so much. Steve, I know you got MMA inks floating around yet to drop.
Man, I need to put them out. I'm having editing.
What's
issues.
The holdup?
I'm having editing issues. I'm getting frustrated by it.
Yeah. Well,
one of the interviews was really like scrambled and stuff. like
Oh, yeah.
bad reception.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of having issues with it, and it's frustrating me.
Yeah, that sucks. It's never fun to have any kind of that stuff. Their end or your end?
No, not my end. Yeah.
Okay.
Not my end.
Yeah. What you gonna do? But
I've actually reached out to be like, hey, can we do this over?
oh yeah.
Well,
when it's that bad, yeah.
yeah.
If you like the editing, just won't even be worth it. But
Well, I mean, it's worth it, but again, like, if in the end they tell me why are we gonna do it? We already did it. And I'm gonna be like, you're right. All right.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep, the struggle is real, but you guys, as for me, I've been dropping all those PFL interviews, which no connection issues because they were in person. They're buzzing. So Kayla Harrison, Rory McDonald, Loic Rajabov, Magomed Karamov, Raoush Manfio, Antonio Carlos Jr., Shoeface himself. Yes, and then got some coming up this week. All of those, by the way, are out now except for Raoush, which will be dropping tomorrow. Find them at miaminews.com/my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Drake Riggs. And yeah, things in the works. Won't drop any names or anything as you don't want to jinx them, but got more coming, of course, setting things up. So I think I think that is about it at the moment. So appreciate you guys as always, and stay tuned, I guess we can leave it at. But all right, Steve, let's send it on home.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who shows up in the chat on a weekly basis. We really do appreciate you. We appreciate the people who don't show up in the chat just as much as the people in the chat. I know we give them a lot of love. We give you a lot of love too. It's just that we can't see you. We don't know who you are. If you get a chance, come see us on Mondays at 6:30 p.m., 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 our time, Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Come hang out. It's a good time with everybody in the chat. We have the same people every week. We're getting new ones on a weekly basis. Thank you to everybody who's asked questions on Twitter. Ghost Phantom, of course. Yusuf, Steve, and Juice. And then there's everybody else who showed up in the chat. James, Ro, Jen, Jimmy, Ghost Phantom, Chuck, Stamina, Sammy, Alvin, Makoto,
Mr. Lee and Mr. Beckham.
Mr. Lee, Mr. Beckham, Mitchell Scott Decision. Am I missing Alex? Am I missing anybody else?
Centro Wing.
Centro Wing. Anybody else? If I'm missing you, I apologize. And until next time, see you guys next week. Stay safe, stay sane. Peace.
Peace.